Hello. Hi. Oh, give me. Okay, I was having computer issues, so thank you. Sorry, I had to cut you guys off right away. Hello, welcome back. What is up? Happy Saturday. I'm running late. I'm sorry. Do not come for me. We're covering Mackenzie Shirilla, and oh my gosh, this case is just. I've covered it before. Hello. Let me say hi to everyone and then I'll get started. I don't want to just dive deep. Hello, Abuelita's Journey. I see hello. I see Austin. I see Shay. Hi. Yeah, I don't like the names have changed. I don't know if that's a like mistake or if YouTube changed their shit, but bugs me. Anyways, hi, welcome to all the new viewers, new subscribers. Hello, welcome. I am Melly. What happens in Mellyverse stays in Mellyverse. So everything I cover here is all things true crime, my opinion only, all facts from the documents, the PowerPoints that I'm going to be sharing today. This is all from the investigation. So we are going to go through some laboratory results of the PowerPoint that was presented in court. We're going to cover the main details of the case. I have 2 5-minute phone calls that I have not heard out on the internet. I was actually able to get these with the documents. We're going to cover, we have a petition that was filed regarding this case, and then we have an appeal as well. I don't know that we can get through both of those. They're fairly long documents. And then there's a lot that I have on this case right now, a lot. And there's phone calls, so it's just going to go day by day. We've already been covering it. I have covered this case fully in depth prior, so please make sure you check out my Mackenzie Shirilla playlist. I have about 6 or 7 videos over there, and we're just going to go as I got the documents. So there's a whole file labeled Mackenzie that is like text messages. It's wild. We were shook with the phone calls. If you're not familiar with the case, Mackenzie Shirilla is the teenager who drove her car into a building and killed her boyfriend, Dom, and his friend, Davion. She claims that she is innocent and that it was an accident. She's got 15 to life for a reason. They found her completely guilty and that it was intentional. There's a lot of controversy because of this case. She was on TikTok, drinking, doing rugs, doing all this stuff after the accident. Showed her she lacked empathy. You know, there's a lot on this case, and I have covered it in depth. We have gone through the body cam footage. We covered the interviews with the friends. So like I said, make sure you go back and start from the beginning so you get a full picture of the entire case if you are into it. With the phone calls being dropped recently, I feel like it's back in on the YouTubes. But I had already covered this case, I think like 8 months ago, maybe 6, can't remember. But today, like I said, we're going to go through some of the reports. We're going to go through a PowerPoint, and we're going to listen to 2 calls between her mom and the detective. These are not on the calls that we have played yesterday or the day before yesterday. I haven't heard these, so I'm going to play them here, and then I'm going to make a separate video for if other creators don't have them. They can just use mine. I don't mind. Sharing is caring. But yeah, I'm going to create like a shorts or a video on them. They're pretty wild. Her mom is like asking the detective to text the girls that are bullying Mackenzie. They're bullying her because they're calling her like a schmurder, and they're saying that she's evil, and they're saying that she did it on purpose. So it's pretty crazy. Let me know if the visuals are okay and if you guys can hear me. I know I was having like sound issues, but I hope it's fixed. Hey, Derek. Yes, I did cover it. Well, it was Plunder, I think, first and then me, but pretty much. And now it's like out there because all the calls are out, which is fine. But I know the 2, I haven't heard the 2 from the detective. They're like 5 minutes each. I have not heard these anywhere else. So hence why I'm going to make a little sharing is caring video. Okay, so let's get started. It's pretty wild. So Mackenzie here, Dominic in the middle. Let me know if you guys can see this. You guys, as the more I hear the phone calls, I'm just like, is she evil and she just totally did this intentionally? I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I always go by the science and like the telematics. I think that's how you say the word. Don't come for me, Lovey. But the telematics, I feel like it proves that she didn't try to stop the car. And you had seen her threaten Dom. We played those clips in the previous lives as well. She's threatening Dom, very toxic relationship. Unfortunately, Davion, their friend, wanted a ride home that morning, so he ended up being from a party. So he ended up being, sorry, my hair's all crazy because I was being a potato. I was researching being a potato. But yeah, unfortunately, my heart goes out to the Russo family and the Flanagan family. I always like to start this off by that. I don't hate Mackenzie. I don't know her, but and it's hard for people to like realize like, okay, that's not us. We don't know what was going on. We don't know her mindset. We don't know the things that she's been through. Not that it makes it right, but we just want to keep that in mind. We haven't walked miles in her shoes, and I try to give humans the benefit of the doubt and try to consider that we're all different, and who knows what was going on in the relationship. We weren't there. It was very toxic, but I myself have been in a very toxic relationship where it seemed like I was a really toxic one, because I was, but he was also. So I'm just going to be fair and say it like it is. So who knows? But it's it's very sad about how Davion just wanted to get home after a party, and he ended up being a victim in this accident. Do you guys believe it was intentional? Let me know what you think. Okay, I'm going to stop yapping away. Dominic in the middle, her boyfriend of like 4 to 5 years, and then Davion on the end here. So call synopsis. This is a map of the street she was on. She straight up just basically 100 miles per hour. I'm not sure if it was exactly 100. The report actually says, I believe it's like 98. Don't come for me. But basically 100 if you round up. Thanks, Shay. We're doing a Melly After Dark today, and I do think I want to do another live after this. I really want to be on here for hours talking about Mackenzie, but I don't want to make it too long so people don't come back to like a hell of a long live. They're like 5 hours, shit. And we're going through some really good stuff today. So July 31st, it's not like the building was moving. You're funny, but you're right. July 31st, 2022. I do have the 911 call too. I want to listen to that. It's just a few minutes long. 6:15 a.m. So they had partied the night before and they were leaving in the morning. Hello, Russell. City of Strongsville, Cuyahoga County, state of Ohio. A passerby called 911 to report a motor vehicle crash, and that's the one we're going to listen to. Strongsville police and Strongsville fire units were dispatched to Progress Drive at Alameda Drive for a motor vehicle crash whereby a Toyota Camry had impacted the TᕼᗪᑎK building at 11792 Alameda Drive. I don't know that they tried to take a picture, but that picture's not very good. We did play the body cam footage in the video on the previous live, so make sure you go watch that. I should replay them, but I won't on this live just because I already have it planned out. But like I said, I do have all the body cam footage, so we can go over it again now that we're like covering it again. Strongsville police officers Galassi and Zielinski were the first on the scene. 3 occupants were in the vehicle and had to be mechanically extricated, which means I think, with all the tools, they couldn't get him out of the car. This is really so terrible. It's terrible. On the body cam footage that I have and that I played in my previous videos, you can hear the officer, like, when he gets to the scene, you can hear him be like, okay, she's alive, she's breathing. And then you hear him when he sees the 2 guys, and he's just like horrified. The jaws of life. Thank you, Asain. What would I do without you? Okay, so the driver was 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla, who was removed from the driver's seat. She was alive and was flown to Metro. She was 17 at the time. I think her birthday was like 2 weeks after this, her 18th birthday. She's eligible for parole in 2037. Do I think she's going to get it? Absolutely not. Have I been wrong before? Absolutely, like every day, but not really. Like, I think, who knows? With the Menendez brothers, all the things that happens in true crime, she might get it if she can prove she has changed and has become a better human being. But listening to those calls, I'm like, actually, no. But, you know, those calls are from like a year or so, or when this happened. So can people change? Yes. But we'll see what happens. Front passenger was Dominic Russo, her boyfriend, and the rear passenger was 19-year-old Davion Flanagan. Were both death on arrival. They were, you know, when they got there, they couldn't do anything for them. While Mackenzie Shirilla was being assessed by medics, one of them located a digital scale and a clear bag containing a substance that tested positive for mushrooms and weighed over 6 grams. The items were in her waistband. I do have that laboratory report as well. I'm going to go over it. So here's like a map. Davion's drive details. They left 9149 Pearl Circle to Elizabeth Circle at 5:36 a.m. Top speed was 90 miles per hour. So this is like smartphones. This is smartphones for you, dude. Like, oh my gosh, this is wild. And then this is a picture of, I believe, the drive from the 3-mile drive from the house they were at to the accident. I want to say 90 miles per hour. Straight into the building, head on. Like, I can never understand it, you know, and it's normal to be confused. It's completely normal because we are not supposed to be able to comprehend this crazy shit. But, you know, she says that, well, I don't know if she says it, but she kind of hinted towards it in the call, one of the phone calls we have previously played, that she was trying to unalive herself as well, and that she had like health issues, mental health issues, etc. I'm like, okay, I could consider that. Sure. I think she thought maybe she wasn't going to make it out alive either. Do you guys think that? Like, because she should have known, right? If she did it intentionally, like the judge says she did, she would have known that if she caused this crash and she made it, she would be in jail, right? Like, that's common sense. Why take others with you? Well, I think with Dom, and they were in a very toxic relationship, and I think that she was like in the mood, the very vibes of like, if he's not with me, like no one can have him, like that type psycho stuff, you know? So I think he was breaking up with her. They had already broken up, and she was like not leaving him alone. She got a little bit cray-cray, and she was making threats and stuff, and she has threatened him before in the car. So I think why take others with you? I was saying, yeah, that's very true. I could see the boyfriend, but the friend, yeah, you know, I think, was it just like wrong place, wrong time? You know, that's very sad, because clearly the friend didn't do anything. You know, he was just getting a ride with them. Or so then, was it an accident? I don't know. You guys tell me. Members of the public provided the first clue that the crash was not an accident. Tyler, Husani, Kelly, and Diane provided screenshot from Davion Flanagan's Life 360 app showing the vehicle he was in was traveling 90 miles per hour in a posted 35 mile per hour zone. Yeah, that sucks. Hello. Good to see you, friend. This is crazy. 90 miles per hour. 3-mile drive from 5:30 a.m. to 5:36 a.m., 6 minutes. You know, I wish I could read a map. I can't. Don't come for me, levies. I am still a smart little cookie. I just am not very good with maps. Like, I'm good with maps. Like, I open up my map, and if it tells me the direction and where to go, like, I'm good with the directions. I'm not good with the maps. So here is the map. I hope you are good with maps. Isn't this what, like, men are for, like, the maps? Well, she can't have it both ways. If she was only trying to off herself, this means it was intentional. Thank you, Asain. Yes, I agree. Near 9392 Birchwood, 11:39 p.m., 5:30 a.m. Oh, that was like where they were at the party. Here's a picture of the intersection where she was coming super fast. The camera that caught the footage. It's pretty clear to me. And this is a building that she crashed into, and it's their camera on their building. I think they were just trying to establish the angles. The entrance, yeah. The entrance. Her mother didn't do her any favors raising her. We played all of this in the previous lives, by the way. Like, if you want to see the actual body cam footage and stuff, there's a playlist that has all of it. This is just a PowerPoint. So this is when everyone arrives at the scene. The Toyota went slightly off the road and aimed directly at the corner of the building, as evidenced by the tire tracks. Oh, yeah. That's a good picture. I didn't even realize that until I read it. Not the big blue arrow pointing right to it. Yeah, her mom is just as bad. Yeah. We've seen Natalie's. Natalie is her mother. This is a Mackenzie Shirilla case. So this is the scene of the accident. Look at, oh my gosh, every time I see these photos, which I have played before on the previous list, playlist, sorry. This is pretty brutal. Oh, look at the wall. Have you ever seen anything like this? Like, do you see this? It's a brick wall, y'all. Like, look at the front and then look at the side. Not that I am trying to say anything mean, but like, I'm shook she survived. This is wild. I'm surprised it didn't like blow up. You know what I mean? Like a car fire. This is so bad. Wow, I forget how bad those pictures are. Event data recorder, the black box of the car, which proved she didn't try to stop the car. Oh my God, look at the inside of this, like, EDR data analysis reviewed and analyzed by two different and neutral entities, OSP and SWIG. CDR crash data retrieval. Pre-cache data, 5205 seconds. Melly, what is this? Y'all, I went in too deep and got too much information here. I'm like, well, if I knew how to read this, I would tell you guys. But apparently it's saying right here is what I was interested in. Service brake on and off. Off. Does that mean something? I think it means she didn't try to push on the brake. Vehicle speed. 96.9, 97.6, 98.2. Oh yeah, she did get to 100. I'm shooketh. I'm shooketh. Accelerator pedal, you guys. Look at this. 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. She straight up had her foot on the pedal. Unless there was like Satan in the car who had come to Earth to visit her, like and made her do it, I don't believe it was an accident. Like I really need it to be like a full exorcist moment, like, you know, those stories where you're like, oh my God, I saw God, or like I saw, you know, the DEVIL. That's like what I need proof of right now, because this is really crazy. Accelerator pedal full 100% the whole way, unless she thought that the gas was the brake. How do we feel about that? Like, do we think that's a possibility? As much as I have my own opinion about this, I do like to play devil's advocate in all cases and look at both sides of the story, even if it hurts my ego or my opinion. You know what I mean? Nah. Wonder were the passengers asleep? I don't think they were. Some say that maybe they were fighting, her and Dom. This is crazy. This is full proof that she did not get her foot off that accelerator pedal at all. Mackenzie Shirilla did not apply the brakes and was in control of the vehicle. Like Christine the car, in movie? Nah. What do you mean by that? I really wish I was like into knew about car stuff. I'm like showing you the graphs. I'm like, welcome to class. Please take notes, but I don't really know how to read this. Brake oil pressure. Okay, so just pay attention to the colors, okay? Okay. The colors. Brake oil pressure, 0. Yaw rate, I don't even know what that is. Steering input. Shift position. Drive, drive, drive. SEQ, neutral, neutral, drive, 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 neutral, neutral. Neutral's probably, what? Why would the car be neutral? Like after it was moving, wait. I need a person who does this type of stuff. Christina's a car. Oh, wait, I love me some Stephen King. Whatever. It just basically proves she wasn't pushing on the brake. Here's what the experts said about the EDR. Here we go. The vehicle was traveling with accelerator pedal fully engaged. At no point was the service brake applied. The pedal was depressed to 100% for a minimum of 5.85 seconds prior to impact with the wall. There was no braking for the vehicle, and there was a request for 100% acceleration with full pedal pressure. Forensic examination. This was done by licensed investigator and master tech, Mark Sargent. It is my professional opinion that the vehicle was free of defect at the time of the event and showed no evidence of a malfunction causing or contributing to the event. When we were playing the calls the last live that we covered this, someone said, maybe the car had a defect. They went through that. They did the whole thing. There was no recall. There was no defect. Crash reconstruction. Speed in front of Parma movers while navigating a curve, 98.1 miles per hour. Location of Parma movers, 20036 Progress Drive, approximately 0.2 miles from the crash scene. So she was driving in front of this place, 98.1 miles per hour. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, she was going all the way here, all the way here, all the way here. Can you see my mouse? I feel like I don't even know if you can see my mouse. Over here is the Politico building. That's what she drove it into. Is it Politico or Pliedco? Don't come for me. And it was never in the pronunciation. Only defect was the driver. Yes, I'll say. I agree with that. Here's a picture before. More pictures. Medical records and toxicology report. Pursuant to 2 separate search warrants, I obtained Mackenzie Shirilla's medical records from Metro Health. Physicians confirmed in the reports and testified at the PC hearing that Mackenzie did not suffer from any condition that would have caused or contributed to the crash. No reported history of seizures either. I have this toxicology report. We're going to cover it. I already read that. Sorry. But I guess we can cover some of it here too. So I have the full thing, but it says 1 vial of blood taken from Shirilla to Delta 9 THC positive. Toxicology. Currently, there's no level of THC or any of its metabolites, which necessarily determines the degree to which Mackenzie is impaired, nor do any of these drugs impair the blood. They impair the brain, says forensic toxicologist Joseph O. Jones. Tested negative for psilocybin. Is that mushrooms? Tested negative for ethanol. No alcohol. I don't know. Do you think if there was, that might have helped her case? Because she was under the influence, but this girl was not drunk at all. Yeah, mushrooms. Oh, this is what they found on her in her waistband. Mushrooms. Probably gonna get in trouble for showing you guys that. Which isn't fair. You know, these are public docs. What does this say? I'll read that report when it doesn't have the picture of the rugs. Oh, this is her Instagram, which I have covered before in the previous lives. Tested positive for crack. This is her IG, which is very wild. Oh, you know what? I should pull it up so we can cover some of it because I got text messages. Yeah, I did some deep diving on this because you know how I do here. We like to read documents and get the real tea. I want to say her mom was trying to take her IG down because she was getting a lot of crap for it. But maybe they didn't take it down. Yeah, see, they got rid of it. I think before, when I did my previous coverage on this, it was still up. Because I remember, yeah, they took it down. I'm really not surprised. Okay, sorry, I was getting distracted. So that's her IG. But I have a lot of these pictures up in the lives that I did. Oh, she said, what exactly do you like? She was trying to be an influencer. She says, more than you. She has all these shoes. And then look at her in these pictures with all the money. Yeah, they were definitely selling rugs or something, right? Other invest to determine motive. Search warrants were obtained for Mackenzie Shirilla's cell phone, iCloud account, Snapchat account, Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. This is a grand jury presentation that I have. Mackenzie Shirilla was driving her vehicle northbound on I-71 near Bagley Road with Dominic Russo in the front passenger seat. Dominic Russo called his mother, Christine Russo, asking her to pick him up from the highway, citing Mackenzie Shirilla threatening to crash the car. Okay, you guys, red flag. Like, she had done this before. And I played that in the previous live. So I'm going to keep reiterating that until I see you go watch the previous playlist and leave a comment. Please and thank you. Support your girl. But no, they're good. It's good information because I believe I have an interview with the mom as well, Christine Russo. She had made threats like this before. Witness Christopher Martin went to pick up Dominic Russo, and while on the phone with him, he heard Mackenzie say, and I quote, "I'm going to crash this car." Christopher Martin further added that he observed Mackenzie strike Dominic Russo as he got out of the car. This incident was reported by Christine Russo and Christopher Martin. According to Angelo Russo, Dominic Russo wanted out of the toxic relationship, which was described by the Russo family as toxic. They were like breaking up. He was like trying to leave her. I watched it when you did it live the first time. Yeah, you did. I'll see. Mackenzie Shirilla was living with Dominic Russo at his house. He was financially supporting Mackenzie's lifestyle. So in the previous lives, I covered like a history with their relationship. So Mackenzie lived with his family. She was obsessed with him, and he was a very successful man. He was like doing music. He had, I think, a fashion line. Like, he had good jobs. He was doing big things. And Mackenzie lived over there and was obsessed with him. And they had a really toxic relationship. But also, I think Mackenzie had a lot of freedom in her life. I have talked a lot about that and, the relationship she has with her mother, which I think plays a role in her behavior. But, it's interesting to read that he was supporting her. And, like, look at what she did to him. Halloween 2022, Ohio University. So after the car accident, there was a lot of drama going on because she was posting these Halloween pictures. She was basically on TikTok pretending like nothing happened, no empathy, no remorse. She wasn't like, oh my gosh, how would you, like, if me and you had gone through something like that, I think we would be like crying our eyeballs out. We probably wouldn't be very well mentally. You know what I mean? Like, you just killed two people. Like, if that's not something that kind of makes you go into a dark spiral, I don't know what kind of creature you are, because like, even if it was an accident, I would still be horrified. And we speak very proudly and loudly about mental health issues here, and I have had mental health issues before. So I feel like if I unalived two people, I feel like that would put me in a really bad place. And she's just on TikTok. She was acting like nothing even happened. She was on there smoking them blunts. She was drinking. She was at a concert. Let me tell you, after the accident, like she got out of the hospital, by the way. She was in the hospital. She had to have like 4 major surgeries, something like that. Like her femur, her arm, like there was a bunch of shit wrong with her that she had to have surgery for. She could not leave the party scene so bad that she got out of the hospital and was like at a concert 2 weeks later in a wheelchair. Like in a freaking wheelchair. Again, I repeat, I would not be at a concert in a wheelchair. I would be upset. Begging whatever God I believe in for forgiveness for killing these two people. I mean, how would you guys feel? Maybe she was drinking the pain away. It was one of those things where like, okay, she was a little cray-cray, and then this really did put her in a dark place. So she was just like going with substances. I can see that as well. I don't know, but like, look in this. She dressed up as a corpse. She got a lot of flack for that. And then she dressed up as like a little weed plant. And then it says Drink and Zaza, Halloween costume ideas, Mary Jane and Lean. This is kind of like dark, right? That she would dress up as a corpse after she literally made two people like what was left of them even. I wonder after the accident. We just saw the pictures. The brick building was literally dented in. These images and video on the next slide were all taken the weekend before Halloween 2022 at Ohio University and posted to open social media sites by Mackenzie. Summary: nothing was mechanically wrong with the Toyota. EDR data and analysis forensic inspection proved that. Nothing medically wrong with Mackenzie. Medical records from Metro. Trauma surgeon testimony. PC hearing. Not OVI operating a vehicle under the influence. No ethanol in her system. Only THC. Does not support impairment, but she is a daily user, as evidenced by the ample social media recordings and statement by friends, family, and text messages. Intentional act. A. Multiple breakups in July 22 and before, evidenced by 31,697 pages of text messages between the two. There was two, that's how many text messages, and I got some of those. That they used just as evidence. So imagine how much more they probably had prior to what they pulled for evidence, So he was trying to leave her. He had tried to break up with her, and she went balls crazy, dude. She was like showing up at his house, like, it's easy to get mixed up in a toxic relationship, you guys, and we need to talk about it, and we need to be there for each other. Saying, where was that video of his mom? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can't remember like exactly what video has what. I know I'm terrible. Did I even put timestamps? I don't know. I'll have to go back and recheck, but I believe I did cover the mom, and the brother, I think, went in to give an interview with the police in the previous lives. Yeah, it was when she was first covering it. Per the Russo family, the relationship between Mackenzie and Dominic was deteriorating. Deanna Fosnight, the mother of Mackenzie's ex-boyfriend, provided information about previous threats. The incident on July 17th, 2022. So we have, in the previous content that I covered as well, we heard from Mackenzie's ex-boyfriend. He went and did an interview with the police and basically was like, yeah, that girl, she got mental health issues. Like, my heart breaks. Every time I see pictures of Dominic and Davion, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And look at her here, dressed like a corpse. And look at the car. Can you believe she made it out alive? I can't. It's just crazy. Okay, that was the end of that presentation. I have another short presentation that I want to show you guys. This is more so based on the facts. She makes me angry. I know. She makes me angry too. Yeah, please make sure you guys hit the like button. Help your girl out. Help yo girl out. Okay. This one is basically the same thing. It's just going to go through facts of the case. I think this was more based on like the accident stuff. Ugh. When everybody knows me, not from popularity, but from my horrible reputation. That's what she had on her TikTok. What do you guys think? If she wasn't a MURDER, would you be friends with her? Mean girl. David, don't be a mean boy. David said, why are you caring about this? Let it go. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're going to cover it. Continue to cover it. It's public information, baby. Abuelita's going to pull out the chancla. Okay, so it says mean girl. Several sources of information describe Mackenzie as being a mean girl. Investigators learned that Mackenzie was largely disliked among high school students for incidents of bullying and being awful to others. Below is audio from Snapchat in which Mackenzie responded to another Snapchat user and mocked the individual's appearance. I can't play that on here because this is like a clip that I got, but I do have some other clips we'll play. Reckless and careless driving. Several sources of information have described Mackenzie as being a quote-unquote crazy driver. These individuals have stated to investigators that Mackenzie would regularly drive fast, careless, and angrily. According to these individuals, it was common for Mackenzie to get into road rage situations. Below are some examples of careless and distracted driving from Mackenzie's own Snapchat account. Distracted driving video dated May 10th. So this is like a picture of her or video, but we can't play it. Mackenzie could be observed recording herself as while she's operating a motor vehicle and attempting to look into the camera lens. This video was posted to Mackenzie's Snapchat. Video dated March 15th, 2022. Mackenzie can be observed operating a motor vehicle while recording this video where she is observed taking her eyes off the road several times. Additionally, Mackenzie added hard effects to the video. It is unknown if these effects were added while driving or at a later time. On April 19th, 2022, Mackenzie is again observed recording herself while operating a motor vehicle. Additionally, Mackenzie physically manipulates her phone to display that her legs are up on the seat and not near the pedals. The video leads investigators to believe that the video was more than likely in cruise control at the time of the recording. With Mackenzie's feet being up on the seat, not near the brake, and her attention being on the camera, the odds of an accident occurring in the situation is extremely likely. March 24th, 2022, Mackenzie is operating a motor vehicle while filming Snapchats of herself, singing along to music while looking into the camera. She's clearly paying little attention to the road as her eyes can be observed leaving the road several times. These were only 4 examples of distracted driving by Mackenzie. Approximately 8 months of Snapchat history showed hundreds of similar videos. Angry driving, road rage. Oh, Mackenzie posted a Snapchat and said this BITCH dumb AF. Snapchat image date, March 30th, 2022. Mackenzie is observed at a red light on Shermer Road, westbound at Pearl Road, and was involved in some sort of road rage situation, leading Mackenzie to snap this photo, then add the banner to it, which reads, "This BITCH is dumb AF. It is unknown to investigators if the banner was typed out and the image was shared while operating the vehicle." Ooh, they went deep into her files. April 1st, 2022, Mackenzie can be observed operating a motor vehicle on an unknown road. Mackenzie was involved in some sort of road rage situation, leading Mackenzie to snap the photo, then add the banner next to it, which reads, "Dumbass." It is unknown to investigators if the banner was typed out and the image was shared while operating the vehicle. March 24th, 2022. And yet another example of anger and rage coming from Mackenzie while in the motor vehicle. Mackenzie is observed in the video cursing and name-calling someone who parked slightly on a parking space line at Polaris Career Center in the Middleburg Heights, Ohio. In this Snapchat video on March 20th, 2022, Mackenzie recorded a video of her vehicle speed. Investigators have identified this noticeable steering wheel cover as the one inside Mackenzie's vehicle. In the video, Mackenzie records her speedometer, which is reading 90 miles per hour. Nowhere in the state of Ohio is the speed limit 90 miles per hour. Additionally, at these dangerous speeds, Mackenzie is failing to maintain full time and attention to the roadway as she is simultaneously driving at a high rate of speed and recording a video. High speed and distracted driving. On April 19th, 2022, she is recording a vehicle of her speed again. And this is the same steering wheel seen in the other video. She records her speed at 93 miles per hour. Again, they state nowhere in Ohio is that the speed limit. In the following videos and photographs, Mackenzie and victim Dominic Russo are seen breaking into the Columbia Church of God on July 19th, 2022. In the videos, evidence of forced entry is clearly shown. Shirilla is recorded staying and taking that as she takes possession of an item belonging to the church. Wow. I did cover this previously on the other lives too, but I forget that they had done that together. The photograph is following a slide taken by Mackenzie. So that was redacted in the PowerPoint for some reason. Breaking and entering Columbia Church of God. Wow. Oh yeah, it's right here. Oh, and they're smoking. Wow. Rug usage. In the next slides, you will see Mackenzie using Mary Jane, lean, and mushrooms. Mary Jane and mushrooms are illegal in the state of Ohio as well as federally in the United States. Lean is only illegal if made with prescription cough medicine. Lean is a drink made commonly with cough medicine combined with soda or any other drink of the user's choice. Lean was made popular by rappers in rap videos as well as social media. This drink gives the users a high sensation. This is just for educational purposes too, guys. We are learning about this stuff. Hello, beautiful Augie. We are learning about this stuff because we're learning about the case. Rug usage, there she is with a bong. This is what you don't want your kids doing. Here she is, like, where was her mother? Like, did her mother not care? She wasn't even 18 for most of this. She wasn't even 18 at the time of the accident. Ugh, you guys. Educational purposes only. Making and using lean. Oh no, she didn't show a video of that on her TikTok. Wow. Possession and using mushrooms. Oh my God. This is wild. This is stuff the jury saw, by the way. Don't come for me saying that I'm up here exposing Mackenzie and that I'm a mean girl and that I have a problem with her. No, no, no. No, no, no. This is just what was shown to the jury. These are the pictures that they took of the stuff sheet that was in her. I know, Augie, I'm so happy you're here. What she had in her car. Mushrooms, U.S. currency, and a digital scale located in her pants at the time of the crash. Excuse me, why did she have the scale in her pants? In her pantalones? I have this report in its entirety, but we'll read it here as well. Tested, seal evidence bag containing a plastic bag containing mushroom material. Net weight 6.91 grams. Schedule 1. Suspected reckless behavior, Ohio University, Halloween. We did already see that. Oh, we didn't see these ones. These are more. So they included from the previous PowerPoint that we just watched. We took some of the pictures, but this is all after the accident too. Fernando, hello, my love. Good to see you. He says Melly is the best. He is right. Listen to Fernando. Can someone tell me what's wrong with this girl? OU is a party school, is it? Drug trafficking THC oil. Oh, they proved she was selling because you know how she had all that cash. This is just, don't come for me. Like I said, this is the core information. So she was texting people. That's where she was getting all that money from with Dom. What she had in her pantalones? Augie, she had mushrooms, a scale, and hundreds of dollars in her pantalones. I'm like, girl, get yourself a purse or a little fanny pack. I have a little fanny pack that I've been using lately. It's a cute, like, fancy one. You know what I mean? It's one of those. But okay, so here she is distributing narcotics. She's like, hey, girl, can I come pick up that cart today? February 17th, 2022. She says, yes. What strain? She says, sativa. I can pick it up soon. Okay, so I only have $40. Do you have change? On my way from the high school. Here, babe. Above is a screen clip of Mackenzie messaging via Snapchat with the user ◷Chiron22. In this conversation, ◷Chiron asks Shirilla if they can pick up a cart today. Investigators know the cart to be, I don't know why they redacted that, from a cartridge that goes into a vape pen. We know what a cart is, okay? These cartridges often contain THC liquid, which can be smoked out of the vape pen. Above, we see this person ask for sativa, which is known as a type of Mary Jane. You got another sativa cart? Kenzie says, yes. Awesome. Kenzie says, you want me to bring it to school tomorrow? Austin might come pick it up tonight if that's all right. Who's Austin? He's my good junior friend. Austin Rees. Have them add me on Snap. Okay. He added you. Okay, bet. Okay, you sure he's cool? Yes, bet. As seen in the slide prior to Shirilla's communicating with a Snapchat user, then ask a friend to pick it up. Shirilla's friend list on Snapchat, she approves to come pick up the cartridge, thus completing the drug trafficking. Oh my God. I do have a Discord server. It's very private. I only allow my friends there. I might drop the link. Okay, let's see. This is the mushrooms. Yo, we thought we had deep dived this before. I'll say instead it's not a shopping cart. Okay, I thought we had deep dived this before, and absolutely not. You knew I was going to get more documents. You knew it. Tell me you didn't know. I always do this. I have like, you want to know how many documents I have to read right now for cases that I haven't covered? I have like 3,000 documents. I'm like really not playing. So my Patreon is going to be up soon. I will be linking that in my About Me. Basically my Patreon is all the content that I have on here. So the content that I pay for, because not everything is free, guys. Some of us creators have to pay for our stuff, like the phone calls. Some of us pay for some of them. Documents are not free either. I'm covering another case after this, and let me tell you, they were trying to charge me like $32 for 24 pages, and I was like, okay. Documentally, exactly. So my Patreon will be up hopefully soon, maybe by tomorrow, and then I'm gonna just post all the docs there, all the phone calls, all the tea that I get, and people can just pay for Patreon and help a girl out. I think that's fair, right? I get a lot of documents. We actually read, my channel is mostly documents and buzzballs. True story. Okay, so this is Shirilla says, I mean, I want to trip, but I don't know what to do. This is on July 10th, 2022. Graham says, me and Bubba are going camping tomorrow. We got to buy some shrooms for Dom. Shirilla says, pull up. We got you later. It's oil day. 7:10 dab day. Graham says, we pulling up. Mackenzie says, what's your ETA? Graham says, we're smoking a bowl right now. It'll take like 5 minutes. Then we coming. Let me put it in GPS. 13 minutes. Can I come pick up the shroomy soon? Mackenzie says, I think it's in South America. Graham says, OMFG, of course. Yes, let me tell Dom. Graham says, we got to go on a trip. Mackenzie says, he just got out the bathroom. LMFAO. I'm about to ask. I'll let you know when to come. Graham says, okay. Mackenzie says it's $40 and come through to my house. Graham says, can I also get a cue of Bud? Loved, it's $40. Detective. Loved shows up on Apple phone when someone loves a comment. Yes, we know. Mackenzie says, I got you too, girl. Graham says, bet. Mackenzie says, what kind of Bud? Graham says, thank you. Best plug. Mackenzie says, do you want the low or the higher price? Graham says, the low. Mackenzie says, bet. Bet. Mackenzie loved the message. You should make a TikTok vlog of you tripping, says Mackenzie. LOL. Graham says, LMAFAO. I want to so bad, but my mom had TikTok and I blocked her, but her weird ass would make another account. Do you want me to come now? Mackenzie says, shake my head. I wish I could post shit like that too. My mom follows me too. You do, Mackenzie. Graham says, right? LOL. Mackenzie says, how far are you? And then Graham says, but your mom's chill. I'm at Bubba's. So right by the high school. Mackenzie says, okay, pull up. Graham says, bet. And then Mackenzie says, also $50 for the quarter, but he said he's going to give you a little more than a quarter. Graham says, bet. Thank you. Graham says, do you have $10 in change? All I have is 20s. Actually, never mind. I got it. Mackenzie says, oh, I didn't even see you say that. I could have. Graham says, it's okay. Bubba has 10s. Okay, just let me know when to come. I'm just going to be waiting in my driveway. Graham says, okay, coming. And Shirilla says, bet. I'm in my driveway. This is wild. Mackenzie says, I want to go to the fair Friday with you. Graham says, Friday I'm tripping with Bubba's again because his parents are going out of town. You can come over and trip if you want with Dom. And yeah, I was going to go to the fair Friday too. Mackenzie says, we wanted to trip at the carnival. Graham says, maybe while I'm tripping. Mackenzie says, we should all trip. Graham says, yes. Mackenzie says, LMAO, yes. Okay, we down. Bro, you about to see me geeking. And Graham says, also, I don't know how many shroomies I need because me and Bubba tripped like 4 days ago. But yeah, bring enough shrooms for all of us. Paul and Dave, LMFAO, we should all have cash. I have some. I'm excited. Fuck, except my mom and stepdad haven't gone yet. I don't know if they're still going. I'm going to pass out or run away if I see my mom. LOL. Mackenzie says, how much do you and Bubba want? Graham says, I don't know. I took 2. He took 3 last time. But since it was 4 days ago, does that mean I need more or I can take the same amount? Maybe 2 for me. Mackenzie says, probably a little more. Graham says, man, then I don't know. Mackenzie says, maybe 2.5, 3.5. Graham says, whatever you think is good for me. Sure. Mackenzie says, have you ever took over 2 Gs? Graham says, I think I took 2.5 last time and 2 for the first time. Mackenzie says, oh, then just do 2.5. At least can't go wrong with that. Was your trip too strong on 2.5? Dude. How does this make her look? Wow. Wow. This wasn't shown to a jury. I said it was a jury presentation earlier, but that didn't get shown to the jury because she had a bench trial. So this is what would have been shown to the jury, but was just shown to the judge. If you didn't know what a bench trial was. Graham says, okay, Bubba said yes to 3.5 and Davion wants 2.5. Okay, so this is where Davion comes into play. The guy that was in the car. Yeah, hello. Drop all the little mushrooms. I love me the real mushrooms. Like, you know, like on pizza and in my salads. Okay, so Mackenzie says, how much does Paul? Graham says, he said he told you, I don't know what did he say when you talked to him? And bring what you're gonna eat with it. I'm gonna get myself a Kit Kat. Mackenzie says, yeah, we're coming. We're about to be back home right now. The carnival is packed. Graham says, oh shit, LMFAO. Okay, wait 1 sec though. Bubba's picking up Dave. And Mackenzie says, we're not coming to your house. Now we're leaving the carnival. I don't know Bubba's address. Graham says, okay, bet. It's on Raccoon Trail. I think 17066. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. Graham says, I'm at the light by Carnival right now. And then it says, note, 2 parties discuss driving from the carnival. Mackenzie says, how much do you want? Graham says 2.5. Graham, we almost back. We can also give you 40 for some bud too. Mackenzie says, we're somewhere else right now. I don't know if we're going to come yet. Dom says, oh no, you should. I'm going to be by Paul's by 11. Could we still buy off Dom if you guys don't want to trip? You should just come hang out for a little smoke or whatever. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. Do you need? Sheila says, we might come. Graham says, yes. Me, Paul, Nina, Bubba need them. And some bud. Do you want to trip? Did you guys already today at the zoo? Mackenzie says, we're not sure because it's already so late. Dom says, and no, we're going to, but we didn't. Yeah, we can give you guys a... And then she says, we on the way home, bet we probably going to come. Graham says, okay, cool. So we want 40 worth of bud and Bubba wants 3 and I want 2.5, etc., etc. Nina claims she just wants a G. Note, slides 25 is one contains screenshots of text messages between Mackenzie and her best friend Rose. These conversations took place over several days between July 10th, 2022 through July 30th, 2022. These conversations all revolve around Shirilla taking orders for obtaining and selling mushrooms to Rosie and several other friends on several other occasions. Within the slide, there are at least 2 different occasions in which Mackenzie trafficked. Note, the last deal occurring on the night of July 30th, 2022 was the mushrooms located on her person and identified in the slide. The deal was arranged approximately 9.5 grams, but only 6.9 were located on Mackenzie's person. And the following slides depicted are conversations between Mackenzie via her Snapchat, Mackenzie Shirilla, and other Snapchat users. These conversations may be graphic and uncomfortable to some as they contain explicit conduct. Graphic content warning. Ooh, so it says possible pros/pandering obscenities. What? Yo. I'm shook a little. Okay, so Kenzie says August 11th, 2022. Can we do this or what? And then the person says 4 bands. Kenzie says you can have 4 straps of ones. The person says 1,000. Oh my God, I'm not even going to repeat this. It says she was doing like OF kind of stuff. It says, send 1,000. We can link anything you want for 2,500. You get cash money in person. No fucking way I'd send you anything up front, especially 1K. Let me know when and where you want to do it. It says, you finger that PUSSY for me, redacted. I am down. Like, that's what it says, you guys. Don't come for me. I gave you guys a warning. This is what the nice police officers were putting in the report. In the above conversation, Mackenzie communicates with user redacted and discuss doing something for which Mackenzie quotes 4 bands, which investigators know to be slang for $4,000. Redacted then asks, basically STX work. Mackenzie responds, send 1,000, we can link. The conversation appears as if redacted is soliciting Mackenzie, who advises 1,000 for the acts listed above and 2,500 for anything. In the above conversation, Mackenzie seems Snapchatting. Investigators know Mackenzie to be quoting $1,000, redacted herself, and $2,000 to link. She's speaking a Snapchat user and is again seen quoting prices. You have Amazon wishlist or Cash App or need help with anything? Yes, Laura. You guys, I know I have a playlist on this and we have covered a lot. This is new to me. I haven't even seen this on anybody else's lives either, talking about the Mackenzie case. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm so shocked. Why didn't she get charged for this? I'm curious. Video Video, call me. I got 300 right now. Let's have fun. Need a sugar daddy? I got 300. Let's video. Oh my gosh. Not the Google tracking. It says Snap Media. She's sending videos and pictures. Sending it to someone because it's redacted. This is in the evidence folder. Yo, I'm not coming from Mackenzie. I know I'm going to get people in the comments and they're going to be like, Melly, but why? Why are you talking about her? And I'm going to be like, settle down. I'm going to delete your comment because I'm talking about the case and this is public information. And then here she's saying cash out. 1,000. She's asking for 1,000. We can link up. This is cheaper price than when quoted to other users. Additionally, Mackenzie adds an LOL at the end, indicating she knows the user, asking for her cash app. Mackenzie, and look at all the money she has. What? Dom had to know she was doing all of this. This was before Laura. This is like when Dom was still alive. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I really wish we knew if Dom was like okay with this or like what the heck. That's where she was getting all the money from. I'm shook. I'm literally shooketh. Oh, he must have known. Actually, there he is. Wait, what is going on here? You guys, this could be from the rug money too, but like what? Look at this right here. So far, the investigation has shown large amounts of money being sent to Mackenzie with no explanation as to where it was being earned or coming from. All information has pointed to Mackenzie being unable to maintain legal employment. Oh. Aggravated murder of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. We already seen this one from the previous PowerPoint. You guys. Excuse me? Come again. What? Okay. I'm shook. I'm literally shooketh. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the rest of the court documents I have, and then we're going to listen to, I have 2 calls with her mom and the detective that I haven't heard anybody have on YouTube. So I'm going to see if I can play them. They emailed them to me in a weird form, like an alien form. And I don't know if I downloaded them right. Okay. Shook. I am shook. Shook. Sorry, the screen takes a minute to load. Okay. This is a mushroom report. We just saw this in the previous one. It says 6.19 grams of mushrooms. So this is from the drug. These might not have a lot of information, but it's just basically saying we tested these samples. 6.91 grams of mushrooms. Okay, so that was the mushroom report. Sorry, I have to write these down as I go because I don't want to be like reading the same thing over to you. Don't come for me. I was just making sure if this one was redacted or not. This is a search warrant. Court of Common Pleas. Whereas there has been filed with me an affidavit here to Exhibit A incorporated. Oh, to get her blood. Further described as healthcare provider facility, there is now being kept concealed and possessed the following evidence of criminal offense. So it's the search warrant to get the blood samples that the hospital had, I believe, done. Any and all records, blood tests, blood draws, blood samples starting from July 31st, 2022 for a juvenile female known as Mackenzie Shirilla, including but not limited to lab technician records, phlebotomist records, photographs, urine analysis, statements, test results, and other records relevant to the patient's blood for trauma related to traffic crash, aggravated vehicular homicide. She just had a birthday, you guys. She had a birthday on the 2nd. So Melly, are you able to do simple math? Not today, not on Saturdays. I'm like, So she turned 21. She turned 21 like last week. I'm satisfied that there's probable cause to believe that the property described is being maintained within. Okay, this one says Detective Zaki. He's a member of the Strongsville Police Department. He has a lot of experience in criminal and vehicle crashes. Afia infers that he has reasonable cause to believe and does believe that within the premises known as Metro Health. Oh, so this is for another. The facts upon which Afia bases such beliefs are Afia infers that on July 31st at approximately 6:15 a.m., a passerby listed as Tom Lowe's called 911 to report a wreckage of a vehicle at the corner of Alameda Drive. Afia infers that the personnel from Strongsville Police and fire departments responded to that area and located a vehicle with extensive damage. The Afia infers that 3 persons were located and mechanically extracted by Strongsville fire medics. Driver's seat was 17-year-old Mackenzie. She was wearing a seatbelt and was determined to be alive. She was subsequently transported via life flight. That's how bad and what a bad condition she was. Medical staff withdrew blood sample. Front passenger was identified as Dominic Russo, deceased upon the jaws of life. Passenger was identified as Davion Flanagan, was also deceased. Afia infers that the 2018 Toyota Camry was registered to Natalie Shirilla, which is her mom. Preliminary investigation indicated the vehicle operated by Mackenzie involved a single motor vehicle crash at the intersection of Progress Drive. Shirilla lost control and drifted off the road, crashing into the Plideco sign and veering to the right, crashing into the southeast corner of the building. Mackenzie was inside the ambulance. Medics located a clear plastic bag containing mushrooms on her person. Due to the nature of the motor vehicle crash and the sustained injuries, field sobriety tests could not be conducted. Based on training and his experience, it is necessary to acquire the blood samples. That's why they did the search warrant. Afia believes that based on the foregoing, he has reasonable cause to believe and does believe that within the premises of Metro, he's entitled to all these samples. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm sure they made her a honey bun cake. This one is the Delta 9. What is that? So if it's not T, what is that? Like, does someone know? Laura? Or is that the same thing, that the Shumis? The Delta 9 THC. This is a lab report. Antemortem blood. Result 10. Other than the above findings, did not reveal any positive findings of toxicological significance. Oh, don't answer. It's right here. It says, I was wondering what that means. 11-hydroxy-delta THC in Tᕼᗩtemortem blood is a psychoactive THC metabolite which was detectable in blood for 1.5 hours when cannabis smoked by occasional users, present over 72 hours and chronic frequent. Oh, so it's just a metabolite? Wait, but I thought they said that there was no THC in our system. In occasional users, medium-range peak blood concentrations after smoking 6.9 THC with medium times of maximum concentration at approximately 11 minutes. In chronic frequent users, peak blood concentrations were 7.2 with medium times of maximum concentrations at approximately 12 minutes. Jeez. So they were like trying to determine if she was like high, but I guess she wasn't. It's a principal psychoactive ingredient of Mary Jane. It is also the active component of the prescription medication Marinol. Tests were performed. Hydroxy delta, carboxy delta, cannabinoids, ethanol. It's just the level so many hours after. She definitely had it in her system. So that's what they're basically saying, that it was in her system and she wasn't like on the spot under the influence. Is that what that means? I'm looking at, you guys should, if I have to pull up the next one, because it's like, it doesn't really state much. These are just like the lab reports. I reached out to a friend who's a forensic toxicologist. The drug testing you provided resulted in detection of delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, typically driving under the influence. THC is the most active of the principal constituents. When ingested, THC can result in sedation. I feel like we know this stuff. It typically targets metabolites. Currently, there's no level of THC or any of metabolites which necessarily determines the degree to which an individual is impaired. Nor do any of these drugs impair the blood, they impair the brain. Blood can sometimes serve as a surrogate, meaning that it performs a role of carrying the substance to target organs, and concentrations can sometimes be applied to brain levels, but this is not always true. Okay. So we're done with the lab reports. Let me pull up the phone calls. We might not have time to get into I might have to do that on another live. Okay, so before we read the appeal, we're going to play these phone calls that I have. These are not, I haven't heard these out. This is between her mom. I hope I can play these. Between her mom and the detective. She was drinking too. They didn't find any ethanol in her system though. Isn't that weird? Okay, let me pull up the call. Let me know if you guys can hear it, because I might have to do this on another live if you guys can't hear it. Let me know, please, Laura and Mods. This is between her mom and the detective on August 6, 2022. Can you hear it? Can you hear that? Before I continue it, can you hear that? I don't want to like play it and then you guys not hear it. Can you guys hear that? Let me know in the chat. Nope. No! No, you can't. Oh. How did I know you weren't going to be able to hear it? Yeah, I didn't think you would because the way they sent it to me is different than I have my other video. If it's not, it's okay though. I will play on the next because there's more phone calls that just came out. So I'll figure it out and play them on the next one. We can't hear. Yeah, I know. Oh, you know what? I was gonna be able to do it, but yeah, it's okay. I'll play it on the next ones because there's more calls that were out. Yeah, I don't freaking know. I don't freaking know how. Maybe this one. Let me know if you can hear this one. Oh yeah, this one you'll be able to hear, but I don't want to expose myself. You're like, expose yourself. What do you mean? You already do that. It's funny. I make myself laugh. Well, that sucks. Sorry. No, I'm sad that you guys can't hear it. I was trying. I wonder if... Let me pull it up again. No, you guys still can't hear it? It's okay. We'll read the appeal. Not try harder, dude. I can't. It's just the way that I downloaded it. I have to convert it into another file. Don't come for me, because right now it's playing and I can hear it. Oh, let me know now. Hold on. Maybe this might help. I'm gonna try one more thing. Not Phil getting all mad at me. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Okay, now let me know if you can hear this. If not, we'll just skip it for today. Can you guys hear that? She just said it's Natalie Shirilla. It's okay. I'm going to put him in a video. I wanted to put him in short form anyways for like as a video, not a live on my channel. So if I don't play him here, I'm going to post him after. And then we can listen to them next phone calls. We got new phone calls. So I'm going to do that maybe after or after this live. I might start a new one for that or tomorrow with the new phone calls. So we'll play them then. Don't worry, you will hear them. They are wild. It's just 2 5-minute. One's 10 minutes and one's I think the other one's 10 minutes as well with her mom. So if I post them after this, you guys better go listen and like and leave a comment. Okay, here we go. We're going to read this document real quick. Court of Common Pleas, October 24th, 2024, the state of Ohio versus Mackenzie. The judge is Nancy Russo. How wild is that? That's Dom's last name, her boyfriend. Weird. Cheers, by the way. Motion to vacate or set aside convictions. I already can't. Now comes the defendant Mackenzie Shirilla by and through undersigned counsel, Friedmich, Long, and Grant, hereby respectfully moves this honorable court to vacate and or set aside her convictions in the above caption matter. Well, that's wild. Wild. Facts and procedural history. The instant case stems from an automobile accident that occurred in the early mornings of July 31st, 2022 in Strongsville, Ohio, which ultimately resulted in the loss of 2 lives. Mackenzie Shirilla's boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and their mutual friend, Davion Flanagan. Shirilla and Davion had been dating for approximately 4 years, and they were living together at the time of the accident. While the relationship was admittedly rocky at times, Mackenzie and Dominic appeared to be very much in love and committed to each other in the days and hours leading up to the accident. They attended 2 different parties together on July 30th, 2022, the second of which was hosted by their friend Paul. There was no testimony or evidence suggesting that Mackenzie and Dom were arguing or upset with each other throughout any point in the evening. That is true, but they were not getting along. We heard the call where she threatens him and stuff, so. Mackenzie and Dom fell asleep together on the couch at Burlinghouse's residence. At some point thereafter, Mackenzie, Dom, and Davion left the house in Mackenzie's Toyota Camry. Video surveillance recordings and other evidence adduced at the trial established that the vehicle eventually turned onto Progress Drive, which is 3/4 of a mile road that is frequently used as a cut-through street. After turning onto the road, the vehicle inexplicably began accelerating, reaching speeds of up to 1,000 miles per hour. Data from the vehicle's event data recorder, EDR, captured several significant events that occurred in the moments leading up to the crash, including the vehicle making a 142.5 degree to the right before leaving the roadway and striking a brick building at around 5:35 a.m. The EDR data also confirmed that the accelerator pedal was fully engaged and there was no application of the brake prior to impact. First responders were dispatched to the scene at approximately 6:15 a.m. Officer Mike Galassi testified concerning the location of the occupants. Mackenzie was located in the driver's seat, Dominic was in the front passenger seat, and Davion was lying on top of the passenger's seat. Wait, Davion was lying on top of the front passenger seat. Wow, so he flew all the way to the front. Officer Galassi was able to break the driver's side window and Mackenzie was extracted from the vehicle using the jaws of life. Mackenzie was initially unresponsive, but was eventually able to provide the first responders with some basic information. Both Dominic and Davion were pronounced dead at the scene. Mackenzie's breathing and neurological functioning were determined to be within normal levels. However, she was unable to recall any details relating to the crash. Furthermore, her blood oxygen level was measured at 82, which is significantly below what you would expect a normal functioning individual. During a head-to-toe examination, Captain Brett Stanislaw discovered a plastic baggie on Mackenzie's person with a substance later deemed to be mushrooms. Officers subsequently located other items indicative of paraphernalia, including a digital scale and devices used to smoke. Mackenzie was transported by life flight to Metro Health Hospital, where she was initially treated by Dr. Sang. Dr. Sang testified that Mackenzie's records noted that she has a past history of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS, which is condition of the nervous system in which a patient may have unusual elevated heart rate and that can cause dizziness or even seizures. So her defense team does try to use that as an excuse of like why the accident happened, and clearly the judge in the court did not buy it but they did try to say that it could have been her condition of POTS. I never heard of POTS until this case. She definitely did it on purpose, in my opinion, says Laura, and Augie says I think so too. The Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office performed autopsies on Davion and Dominic on August 1st, 2022. The manners of death for both Dom, I'm sorry, did I say Dom and Davion? Okay, that confuses me. The manners of death for both of Dom and Davion were initially determined to be accident. However, after charges were filed against Mackenzie, prosecutors contacted the coroner's office and asked them to consider changing the cause and or manner of death conclusions based upon additional evidence that had not been provided prior to the autopsies. The coroner's office obliged and issued amendments to the initial reports altering the manners of death from accident to homicide. Zaki Hazoo was the lead detective assigned to investigate the accident. Detective Hazoo obtained surveillance recordings from the city of Strongsville and requested copies of the autopsy reports from the medical examiner's office. The detective then met with Mackenzie at Metro Health on August 1st, 2022, and obtained a search warrant for her cell phone. From the extraction, the detective discovered that Mackenzie had been in the area where the crash occurred on prior occasions, including July 28th, 2022. Detective Hazoo also identified 136 files that he classified as instances of Shirilla's distracted or reckless driving. So that did come out when this this case first happened, that she had been, this is why a lot of people did think that she is guilty and did it intentionally, because she had been around the scene of the crime prior to the accident. So she was like familiar and had done it again, which supports the opinion of she did it on purpose. Like maybe suicidal and homicidal at the same time. Yeah, I believe I do. A part of me does believe, okay, maybe she thought she wouldn't make it out. But then, do you think she was suicidal? Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, she was trying to unalive herself. That's just my opinion. Detective Hazoo also conducted numerous witness interviews during the course of his investigation. He obtained statements from individuals who were present at the same parties on July 30th, 2022. He also spoke with Dom's mother, Christine, as well as his brother, Angelo, who described that sometimes rocky and tumultuous relationship between Mackenzie and Dom. Christine also informed the detective about a prior argument between Mackenzie and Dom that occurred on July 17th, while Shirilla was driving on Interstate 71. According to the testimony adduced at trial, Dominic called and requested that someone come pick him up because he and Mackenzie were arguing. Christine had her friend, Christopher Martin, drive to pick up Dom on the highway. Martin claims that when he arrived at the location where Mackenzie's vehicle was stopped, he saw her swinging hands at Dom and threatened to crash the car. This is on the previous slides that I have covered, all of this footage. Christine also discusses another incident with the detective that occurred shortly after the highway altercation. According to Christine, Dom and Mackenzie were engaged in a heated argument while Mackenzie was outside of the residence. Dom recorded the argument on his cell phone, a copy of which was later provided to the detective. During the argument, Mackenzie can be heard threatening to key Dom's vehicle. That's the one where she's like, if you don't let me in the house, something bad is going to happen. Like she's making all these threats. After the investigation concluded, a complaint was filed against Mackenzie in Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court alleging numerous offenses relating to the accident, including aggravated murder. Given the nature of the charges and Shirilla's age, the state requested that the matter be set for a mandatory bind-over hearing. The hearing was conducted over the course of 3 days, with the state presenting testimony from an expert in failure and engineering analysis on automobiles, Mark Sargent, who determined that the crash was not caused by any mechanical failure with the vehicle. The state also elicited testimony from Sergeant Adam McQuaid regarding the information extracted from the vehicle's EDR. The sergeant determined that in the 5.8 seconds preceding the impact, the vehicle was traveling in an excess of 95 miles per hour and that pedal was fully depressed. The vehicle then registered a hard right turn before making contact with the curb and eventually striking the building. Although none of the witnesses had direct knowledge as to what occurred in the vehicle that morning, Mark Sargent acknowledged that multiple turns documented by the EDR could have been the driver attempting to maintain or obtain control of the vehicle. Regardless, the witnesses' general consensus was that driving at that rate of speed on the particular road was reckless. Detective Hazoo also testified at the bind-over hearing. Detective Hazoo was unable to pinpoint when the investigation turned from a motor vehicle accident into a homicide investigation, but noted that given the totality of the circumstances, there were some clues that start kind of being put together that give us a big picture. Despite charging Mackenzie with aggravated murder, Detective Hazoo was unable to identify the evidence supporting prior calculation and design. Rather, he arrived at the conclusion simply because other potential explanations had been ruled out. Detective Hazoo applied similar logic to the murder charges, noting that every avenue we took, every leaf we flipped led me to one conclusion. This was an intentional act. The car was intentionally pedal to the metal driven into the building. Detective Hazoo was also questioned about the July 17th incident in which the state placed significant reliance on to establish motive. Although Martin and Christine Russo claimed that Mackenzie was at fault for instigating the argument and that she had threatened to crash the vehicle, the detective acknowledged that there was evidence contradicting those accounts. Specifically, Detective Hazu confirmed that Mackenzie texted her friend Rosie after the incident, claiming that Dom had started the argument. Moreover, Mackenzie sent a text to Christine asking her to come and pick up Dominic because he just grabbed my steering wheel on the highway and was trying to spin out my car and hurt me. So this is the defense requesting for the charges to be basically thrown out. So this is interesting. So this is like the defense saying, hey, she also texted trying to get herself away from Dom. So they're basically trying to prove that Dom was also toxic and that he could have possibly hurt her or was hurting her while she crashed the car into the vehicle. Like in the statement, it says he grabbed my steering wheel. Okay, well, like maybe he was making her push the gas pedal, I don't know, into the building. Doesn't make sense to me, but I can see what the defense is trying to prove here, that he was toxic as well. Detective Zhu could not opine as to whether Mackenzie intended to commit suicide by crashing the vehicle or if she was merely intending to kill the other occupants. Likewise, he acknowledged the possibility that Davion Flanagan had distracted Shirilla while she was driving, which was consistent with data recovered from Davion's cell phone. In fact, Detective Hazu could not confidently state whether one of the other occupants actually turned the wheel, sending the vehicle off the road and towards the brick building. Rather, Detective Hazu claimed that much information was immaterial given the high rate of speed that the vehicle was traveling. During closing arguments, the state maintained that prior calculation and design started in July of 2022 and specifically referenced the July 17th incident heretofore discussed. The state further argued that when somebody puts a foot on the gas pedal and never takes it off until the car collides with the concrete and brick structure, I think that shows intent. Reiterating its apparent process of elimination approach, the state candidly acknowledged, I don't know if it was a suicide. I don't know how she planned to do what she did, but you can't see this and square it with the fact that it was not a medically caused incident. This was not caused from TᕼꞩTA. The juvenile court ultimately held that the state failed to establish probable cause to support the aggravated murder charges, meaning that the court rejected the state's theory that the July 17th incident constituted prior calculation and design. However, the court found that the state had established probable cause concerning the remaining charges and bound the matter over to the Court of Common Pleas for further proceeding. On March 24th, 2023, the Cuyahoga grand jury returned a 12-count indictment against Mackenzie, alleging the following offenses to wit: 2 counts of murder in violation of 2903, 2 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, and 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possession of criminal tools. Mackenzie entered pleas of not guilty to the foregoing charges, and the case was assigned to Honorable Judge Nancy Russo. The matter eventually proceeded to trial. Prior to the commencement of trial, the court accepted Mackenzie's jury waiver and heard arguments from the parties concerning the admissibility of certain evidence relating to prior incidents between Mackenzie and Dom, which included the recorded argument at their residence as well as the July 17th incident. The defense argued that evidence related to the incidents were irrelevant and its admission would violate Ohio 404 policy. The state countered that the evidence was relevant to establishing Mackenzie's intent in the absence of any accident. The trial court overruled the defense's objection and agreed to admit the evidence. The primary issue at trial concerned Mackenzie's intent. In support of its theory, the state introduced testimony and evidence suggesting that Mackenzie was motivated by her rocky and tumultuous relationship with Dom. To that end, the state elicited testimony about the July 17th incident, including the allegation that Mackenzie had threatened to crash her car. When defense counsel attempted to question the witnesses about evidence indicating that Dom was at fault, the court promptly sustained the state's objection. Wow. Those kids all starting and talking were all saying she was nutting wild. Remember the enemies? Yes, Laura, you're right. I don't think she was suicidal. Pretty, just petty, young, entitled, and under influence. Okay, that's interesting, Augie. Yeah, I hear that. And sometimes when they're young like that, they're invincible. That's also very true. Apart from these prior unrelated arguments, however, the state failed to introduce any evidence suggesting that Mackenzie harbored animosity or ill will towards Dominic, such that one could reasonably conclude that she purposely crashed the vehicle with the intent of killing Dom and Davion. To the contrary, the evidence overwhelmingly established that Mackenzie and Dom were getting along well and appeared to be in love in the days and hours leading up to the accident. Paul Burlinghouse confirmed that he did not observe any arguments or issues between Dom and Mackenzie when they were at the house. In fact, the last time he saw Mackenzie and Dom is when they were asleep on his couch at approximately 4 a.m. on July 31st, 2022. Furthermore, the defense presented testimony from Allison Grolu, who owned an organic produce market in Strongsville where Mackenzie and Dom frequently shopped. Grelu stated that from her personal observations over the previous 4 months, Dominic and Mackenzie always appeared very loving towards each other. Similarly, Mackenzie's aunt, Candace Shipley, testified that she spent over 3 hours with Mackenzie and Dom on July 28th as the couple was scheduled to watch her dogs in the coming days. Through the interactions, Shipley did not observe any signs of discontent or unhappiness between Dom and Mackenzie. According to Shipley, they appeared very much in love and spoke about their future plans together. The defense also presented alternative theories for what caused the accident, including the possibility that the crash was a result of Mackenzie passing out or losing control of the vehicle due to her POTS condition. In addition to medical records referencing the diagnosis, there was also testimony that Mackenzie had an extremely low blood oxygen level when first responders initially arrived at the scene, which is generally consistent with someone who is experiencing or has recently experienced cardiac arrest. Oh. So like she kind of had like a baby heart attack? Could that have been the reason why she drove her car into the building? Do you guys believe that could be a possibility? Likewise, Dr. Singh confirmed that it is possible for someone to experience a seizure and then recover within a relatively short period of time. I'm dyslexic. This honorable court ultimately found Mackenzie guilty of each charge set forth in the indictment. The court set the matter for sentencing hearing on August 21st, 2023. At the sentencing hearing, the court noted that counts 3, 5, and 6, and 9 merged into count 1, and counts 4, 7, 8, and 10 merged into count 2. The court then imposed a 7-month term of incarceration on counts 11 and 12 to be served concurrent with each other. The court also imposed a lifetime driver's license suspension with respects to counts 9 and 10. In discussing the relevant conduct, the court expressed its disbelief that the accident was caused by a medical issue. The court further noted that the uncorroborated statements from Mackenzie's mother without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. The court then sentenced Mackenzie to 15 years to life on counts 1, 2 to be served concurrent with each other. So she is able to be up for parole in 2037. So like 12 years. What do you guys think? Will she get parole? I don't know. I'd like to think she wouldn't, but 12 years is still a long time. I hope not. Why do I feel like she would? According to those phone calls we're hearing, she does not show empathy or remorse, but you got to think those calls are from 2022 and 2023. So you would hope that with time she would change, but I don't know, maybe not. Mackenzie timely appealed the conviction to the 8th District Court of Appeals. The trial transcripts and related materials were filed on October 24th, 2023. However, the transcripts from the juvenile court bind-over hearings were not filed with the court until December 14th, 2023. Thereafter, the parties submitted their respective briefs. On September 26, 2024, the 8th District issued an opinion affirming Shirilla's convictions. Ohio. The counsel rendered ineffective assistance, thereby depriving Mackenzie of her right to due process of law and a fair trial under both the United States and Ohio Constitution. I think it depends if the state is liberal. The Sixth Amendment guarantees criminal defendants the right to counsel to ensure that a defendant has the assistance necessary to justify reliance on an outcome of a proceeding. This is the same right guaranteed by the United States and Ohio Constitution. When counsel's assistance is so ineffective as to undermine the proper functioning of the adversarial process that the trial cannot be relied on as having produced a just result, a defendant's constitutional rights are violated. Really? They're saying that her rights are violated? First, the defendant must show that counsel's performance was deficient. This requires showing that the counsel made errors so serious that counsel was not functioning as the counsel guaranteed the defendant by the Sixth Amendment. Second, the defendant must show that the deficient performance prejudiced the defendants. This requires showing that the counsel's errors were so serious as to deprive the defendant of a fair trial, a trial whose result is reliable. As the court explained, prejudice can generally be established by demonstrating a reasonable probability that, but for counsel's unprofessional errors, the result of trial would have been different. That is, a probability sufficient to undermine confidence in the outcome. Thus, in order to obtain relief in that matter, sub judice, Mackenzie must demonstrate that her trial counsel performed efficiently by failing to consult with an expert and introduce evidence relating to Mackenzie's medical condition. Failing to introduce testimony or evidence concerning the July 17, 2022 incident, or failing to present relevant testimony and evidence from Allison Grelou, and that there was a reasonable probability of success had her counsel undertaken such measures. Mackenzie's medical condition. Trial counsel's duty to competently represent their client in a criminal matter includes the responsibility to conduct an adequate investigation and, when warranted, introduce testimony and evidence to support the defense's theory of the case. Wow. To that end, here, habeas relief has been granted where trial counsel fails to consult with or retain medical experts, either to testify directly or to educate trial counsel for more effective cross-examination, particularly where the issue upon which that testimony is sought is of significance to the defense theory of the case and the remaining evidence of guilt is not overwhelming. So they're basically saying that, I had not read this before, that her POTS condition was not, like, they didn't get to use that to fight her case. It was denied anyways, her appeal, but I don't know. Do you guys think that could be that violated her rights? In Strickland Super, the Supreme Court expressly addressed how courts should analyze defense counsel decision not to conduct an independent investigation or pursue a particular defense strategy. Strategic choices made after thorough investigation of law and facts relevant to plausible options are virtually unchallengeable, and strategic choices made after less than complete investigation are reasonable precisely to the extent that the reasonable professional judgments support the limitations on the investigation. In other words, counsel has a duty to make reasonable investigations or to make a reasonable decision that makes particular investigations unnecessary. Subsequent decisions interpreting and applying Strickland underscore the requirement that counsel's decision regarding an independent investigation, as well as the efforts undertaken to conduct the same, must be reasonable. Laura says no. Drugs and alcohol, whatever they found wasn't a good choice with the PO test, not smart at all. It was her choice, and now consequences have to be taken. I agree, Auntie. Hey, Jimmy. The sixth court's decision, let me see, I'm going to skip the part where they bring up the other cases. At trial, counsel did not introduce any competing scientific evidence to rebut the state's finding and conclusion. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading about the older case. In the case at bar, it is evident that trial counsel failed to conduct an adequate investigation and or to present a competent defense in contravention of Strickland, as well as the United States and Ohio Constitution. As set forth in the attached affidavit, Mackenzie had very limited communication with trial counsel prior to trial. So why wasn't anything said before? Like, why didn't she, or maybe that they did? Affidavit of Mackenzie attached here to as Exhibit A. Although their interactions were brief, it was clear that Mackenzie informed counsel of her pre-existing medical condition as well as prior episodes that she had experienced. Furthermore, Mackenzie's family gave Attorney McDonald medical records confirming her POTS diagnosis prior to the commencement of trial. See also a copy of medical records confirming POTS diagnosis attached here. Even a cursory review of these records would have provided counsel with a potentially exculpatory explanation for and defense to the criminal charges at issue in this case. Okay, so fine. They're saying that they didn't get a fair chance to bring in her medical records and her condition. Well, then, okay. Why pick a bench trial? Like, I hope you guys can see where I'm connecting this. Like, if you didn't get a fair chance, okay, but like, why didn't she didn't want the jury making a decision of the verdict because they knew they were going to be like, no, give her like the freaking death penalty. But I just feel like, do I think maybe they should have delved more into her medical condition? No, I don't. Despite having knowledge and evidence concerning Mackenzie's POTS diagnosis, Attorney McDonald failed to undertake any efforts to substantiate the theory that the accident was caused by a medical issue, including consulting with a medical expert and/or presenting testimony to that effect. In fact, Attorney McDonald failed to introduce medical records substantiating that Mackenzie had in fact been diagnosed with POTS. The significance of these shortcomings was recognized by the court during the sentencing hearing. I guess if it was like super critical to like where she couldn't live her life, then I might think differently. Like, okay, yeah, maybe they should have gotten a chance for a retrial, bringing in all of that medical condition stuff. But the fact that she's out there selling rugs, smoking rugs, drinking rugs, doing all of this stuff, and her condition doesn't matter then. Like, I don't know how I don't find it reasonable for them to say like, oh, her condition caused this accident and made her do what she did. But then, okay, well, if her condition was that serious, why was she smoking all the blunts? Why was she drinking all the lean? Like, and dressing up as them. Laura's like, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, okay, so you know what? I guess I could say because I overheat. I don't know what the condition is called. I'm just too hot for the clothes. But no, I really do overheat. And it makes me like physically sick. But it's not that serious. Like, I'm not like passing out everywhere and like driving and like passing out, like. So I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Here, as Richie, Supra, the state's case was predicted solely on the absence of any countervailing evidence to explain the excessive rate of speed, failing to apply the brake, and careening into a building. Instead of presenting testimony or evidence to bolster the defense's theory of the case, counsel elected to cross-examination the state's witnesses as to whether it was possible that Mackenzie experienced a seizure or similar loss of consciousness at or around the time of the accident. Moreover, counsel made no effort to consult with an independent medical expert prior to trial, nor did he attempt to introduce any evidence relating to Mackenzie's pre-existing medical condition. There is one important distinction between the case at bar and Richie. Unlike Richie's attorney, defense counsel failed to retain an independent expert or discuss the importance of doing so with Mackenzie. Thus, this case exemplifies that most egregious type wherein lawyers altogether fail to hire an expert. Trial counsel knew that Shirilla was predisposed to experiencing seizures or loss of consciousness as a result of her POTS condition. Moreover, trial counsel had copies of her medical records confirming the diagnosis. Despite the significance of said evidence to the defense's theory of the case, trial counsel never attempted to present evidence regarding Mackenzie's documented medical conditions. In light of the relevant issues and underlying facts of the case, it is evident that the failure to undertake these measures was objectively unreasonable. Trial counsel's theory of the defense was that the accident was caused by a pre-existing medical condition, which resulted in Mackenzie losing consciousness and or control of the vehicle shortly before the crash. Accordingly, counsel was constitutionally obligated to thoroughly investigate, identify, and present any evidence that would undermine the state's contention that the accident was a result of purposeful and or intentional conduct. In light of the contradictory testimony and disputed issues, evidence concerning Mackenzie's pre-existing medical conditions would have been crucial to the defense's theory of the case. Counsel's refusal to undertake any efforts in this regard is a tantamount to a failure to conduct an adequate investigation, thereby vitiating any presumption of strategic choice that might otherwise apply. Okay, well, I guess I'm curious and I want to know, like, how serious was her condition? Melly, do you have headaches too? I don't have seizures. No, I don't get like super bad headaches, but I do get like, I break out in hives and stuff. It's kind of weird. And I get more like nauseous. And like my heart races, but it's not like, oh, I can't drive. I'm going to run my car into a building. No, but everyone's different. I'm trying not to sound like an a-hole, like, oh, wasn't that big of a deal. But I mean, I guess I'm curious, like, how bad it was. I would like to see some EKG results or something. I don't know. Like, do they have that? Did we see it? Maybe they're right. Maybe they should have got another chance at trial if that stuff wasn't brought in. I don't know. But like I said, again, if it was so serious, she shouldn't have been driving. Ma'am, what were you doing driving with the blunt in your mouth? Like every other weekend? Or every other Snapchat you posted? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, okay, fine. Yeah, maybe they lacked of bringing in a medical expert, but your girl was over there driving with all the rugs in her system. So clearly she wasn't concerned about her ever so serious condition of POTS. Am I right? Or am I right? Oh, I love you. POTS is not a serious illness. If you feel you have an episode, you don't drink, take your drugs, and drive around. Exactly, Augie. You guys are funny. No, I agree. July 17th, 2022 incident. Mackenzie was convicted of murder in violation of 2903.02 as charged in counts 1 and 2 of the indictment, which pertained to the deaths of Dominic and Davion, respectively. In order to sustain the conviction, the state was required to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mackenzie did purposely cause the death of Dominic and Davion. The Ohio Revised Code provides that an individual's act purposely when it is a person's specific intention to cause a certain result. As the 11th District has previously explained, purpose is a decision of the mind. Okay, pay attention here, you guys. Take your little notes. I'm going to have an exam. Purpose is a decision of the mind to do an act with a conscious objective of engaging in specific conduct or producing a specific result. To do an act purposely is to do it intentionally and not accidentally. Purpose and intent mean the same thing. Thank you, baby Jesus. I have been saying this like all my lives. Like, the purpose with which a person does an act is known only to himself unless he expresses it to others or indicates it by his conduct. The purpose with which a person does an act is determined from the manner in which it is done. That means the means or a weapon used and all the other facts and circumstances in evidence. I feel like this is complicated. Again, Attorney McDonald was well aware that such evidence existed as Shirilla provided counsel with medical records. I feel like this is complicated because it's like, did she do it intentionally? Okay, yes, say she did. Did she intend to just hurt them or intend to kill them? Or is it the same thing to you as human, like, morality? Like, what is your opinion? Because I feel like I struggle with this. I'm like, okay, she did it on purpose. She was just trying to do what? Maybe not drive into the building. Maybe just scare them a little. Maybe she wasn't trying to kill them, but she hurt them. you guys like feel like this is confusing me, but I feel like, I don't know, the prior instances of this, like July 17th, when she was like throwing fists at him, like she was putting his hands on him. So I feel like, yes, purpose and intent mean the same thing to me in this case. Like, I think whether she really wanted to kill them both, I feel bad for her if she didn't want to, but I don't feel bad for her that, she has to do the time. She killed 2 people. Like, what was the reason for that? Like, she really didn't want Dom to be with another girl. That's really psycho. Like, really psycho. But we see it a lot in true crime. You know what I mean? We see females take out the lover, take out them, the boyfriend. It happens a lot with men, Suzanne Morphew, for example. She was having an affair, and what's his name? Barry. We're still going to continue covering that. Barry just couldn't handle it. So he unalived Suzanne. So I guess when you think of it in those terms, the mind is a very interesting creature. In the case at bar, the state theorized that Mackenzie purposely crashed the vehicle because of her tumultuous relationship with Dominic. In support of its contention, the state referenced a prior incident between Mackenzie and Dominic that occurred on Interstate 71 in or around July 17th. Specifically, did I already read this? No. Specifically, during the state's case in chief, Christopher Martin testified concerning communications between Christine Russo and Dominic, where Dominic asked for a ride because of the argument with Mackenzie. Martin further testified that he overheard Mackenzie threaten to crash the vehicle. This testimony left the trier of fact with the impression that Mackenzie was at fault for causing the altercation as well as threatening to crash the vehicle, the exact conduct for which she was being prosecuted. The record in this case clearly establishes that the July 17th incident was the state's most compelling, if not only, evidence to support the element of purposefully. As the prosecutor acknowledged, the evidence was particularly important to the state's ability to prove that, quote unquote, just 2 weeks later, she used the car to kill Dominic. The 8th District apparently agreed insofar as the opinion made numerous references to the July 17th incident as evidence indicating a purposeful intent. Prior to trial, Mackenzie's family provided Attorney McDonald with copies of text messages that had been extracted from Mackenzie's phone. A review of these messages confirms that there was communications between Mackenzie and Dominic's mother, Christine, concerning the July 17, 2022 incident. For instance, messages extracted from Mackenzie's phone show that she sent a text message to Christine on July 17th stating, quote unquote, "Can you come get Dom? He just grabbed my steering wheel on the highway trying to spin out my car and hurt me." Christine responded with, "Hench is on his way," seemingly confirming that the message was sent before Martin had arrived at the scene and purportedly heard Mackenzie threaten to crash the vehicle. Similarly, Dominic Russo sent Mackenzie a message at 4:27 p.m. on July 17th apologizing to Mackenzie. Oh. When Shirilla expressed concerns for her safety as a result of Dom's conduct, Dominic replied with, "Yeah, I was trying to do anything. I was trying to KMS first. I would have died first, LOL." Huh. I would have died first. And Dominic apologized. Okay, so what? He apologized doesn't mean he was the only. It takes 2 to tango. You know what I mean? Like, just because he apologized doesn't mean that he was at fault for that. I feel like he could have just apologized because he didn't want to be fighting with her. I feel like they're just throwing everything at the wall, hoping one will stick. Yeah, same. I agree. Yeah, please hit the like button. Help your girl out. Listen to Augie. The significance, oh, by the way, I have the text messages. We're going to cover that tomorrow. Those will be wild. The significance of these text messages cannot be overstated. Again, the state presented no direct evidence to support contention that Mackenzie harbored any ill will towards Dom on the morning of the accident. None of the witnesses testified that Mackenzie and Dom argued or fought during the relevant timeframes leading up to the crash, such that one could reasonably infer that Mackenzie possessed the requisite motive or intent to cause the death of Dom or Davion. In fact, none of the witnesses testified to any altercations or arguments between Mackenzie and Dom shortly before the accident. Oh, they noted the undersigned submits the KMS is an acronym for kill myself. Jeez. To the contrary, several witnesses recalled, I didn't know that, by the way. We're learning things. Contrary, did you guys know that? I don't know that. I probably would have looked that up on Urban Dictionary. I mean, I'm not old, but I used to collect Beanie Babies. Let that tell you enough. Okay. Contrary, several witnesses recalled that Mackenzie and Dom appeared to be very loving towards each other, even discussing their future plans. You know, I could talk hours about this. Maybe we'll do it on a Melly After Dark. That does not matter. I don't think, so what? Just because they were lovey-dovey one night doesn't mean that they weren't domestically abusive to each other and physically. That don't mean shit. You can be fine with your partner and then be getting ready to punch each other in the face, or like marriage. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like, oh, just because they were fine one night, that just like determines that, oh my God, they had a loving relationship. Like, no, it's called DV for a reason. You know what I mean? Accordingly, the state placed substantial reliance on Martin's testimony. I think it's more critical. I'm sorry, I'm going to pause. I think it's more critical that she was throwing fists. Now that is different. Like, now that's placing your hands on someone. See what I mean? Like, that comes with a lot of stuff, you know, mentally and emotionally and physically. Accordingly, the state placed substantial reliance on Martin's testimony that Mackenzie had threatened to crash the vehicle on July 17, 2022. As the state acknowledged during a pretrial hearing on the issue, evidence concerning this issue is especially relevant and important to Mackenzie's state of mind just 2 weeks later when she used the car to kill Dom, as well as the lack of accident at the crash scene. The text messages that were sent and or received by Mackenzie served to directly contradict that Mackenzie attempted or even threatened to crash the vehicle on July 17th, as well as a contention that the incident evidenced a purposeful state of mind of 2 weeks later. Trial counsel was aware of the text messages and their significance to the defense's theory of the case. As such, he had a constitutional and ethical obligation to introduce said messages during the trial of the case. His failure to do so fell below an objective standard of reasonableness such that relief is warranted. Okay, yeah, I think those should have been shown. If they're saying that the July 17th incident is like a warning of what was to come, kind of, then yeah, I think they should have shown all of it. All of the text messages, all of the evidence. Testimony of Allison Galou. She was a mental case. I think so too. And that makes me wonder, like when we hear those phone calls with the mom and stuff, like I just think like we're missing something. You know, we're missing of why she is the person that she is. We're humans, our environment, how we're raised, what we believe, what we think, what we do, it's all a figment of our environment that we turn into these humans, right? And I'm just wondering, like, listening to her mom in those calls, I'm like, oof, I don't know. My mom would not talk like that, but you know, some moms are different and some moms are like the cool mom. My mom's really cool, but like still she would never. I would get slapped. For else. Like she would drag me by my hair, throw me into my bedroom that used to be when I lived with my parents, and lock my ass in there. This is crazy how I hear her talk to her mom about rugs and just like all of it. I don't know. My parents were Hispanic though, so that could probably explain. Sounds like a fancy way of saying Galou. At trial, the state maintained that Shirilla's purpose and intent was evidenced by the route that she chose to drive after leaving Burlinghouse's residence. As the prosecutor stated during closing argument, Progress Drive was not a shortcut for Mackenzie Shirilla on July 31st. The state has shown that Progress Drive was so far out of the way driving from Paul's home to their home on Lund Road. This court seemingly agreed with the state's contention, noting that Shirilla made the decision to drive an obscure route and a route not routinely taken by her. The court reiterated these sentiments during sentencing hearing. During the defense's case in chief, trial counsel presented testimony from Allison Grolew. Grolew testified that she owned an organic produce market in Strongsville, that she was familiar with Mackenzie and Dom, who were frequent customers at her market. Allison further testified that throughout her interactions with Mackenzie and Dom, they were loving towards each other. As set forth in her affidavit, Allison had additional information that was relevant to the allegations herein at issue. Specifically, Allison saw Dom and Mackenzie at the market on July 30th. Moreover, Mackenzie sent Allison a text message later that evening asking Allison to place a bag of potatoes in a locker outside of the market for her and Dom to pick up after hours. Potatoes? What did they want potatoes for? They were going to cook? I doubt Mackenzie cooked. Additionally, Allison noted that at the time of the accident, Mackenzie's vehicle was driving in the direction of the market. Allison also confirms that she informed trial counsel of the foregoing information prior to testifying at trial. Despite having this information, trial counsel failed to elicit any testimony concerning Allison's interactions with Mackenzie and Dom on July 30th, or the fact that Mackenzie's grocery order was inside a locker outside of the market on the morning of the crash. Given the circumstances and the significance of the information set forth in Allison's affidavit, trial counsel's failure to elicit the foregoing testimony was objectively unreasonable. I don't get it. Why is that important? So, like, it proves that what? She didn't plan to kill everyone because she was going to go and pick up the potatoes? Excuse me, can someone explain? Boy, I brought into this world and I can take you out. Exactly. Austin. Is that why you're researching as a potato miller? Yeah, it is. Shirilla suffered prejudice as a result of trial counsel's deficient performance. The second prong of the Strickland test requires the defendant to prove that they suffered prejudice as a result of counsel's ineffective representation. However, a petitioner need not prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the trial counsel's errors would have changed the outcome of the trial. Rather, there need only be a reasonable probability that, but for trial counsel failure, the result of the trial would have been different. The defendant must show that there is a reasonable probability that, but for counsel's unprofessional errors, the result of the proceeding would have been different. A reasonable probability is a probability sufficient to undermine the confidence in the outcome. Mackenzie's medical condition. The Supreme Court has recently expounded upon whether a credible expert witness could have changed the outcome of the proceeding in determining whether prejudice could have been proven and an effective assistance of counsel. Therein, the court reasoned that if Hinton's attorney would have hired an expert, they're referring to a different case. Here, the primary issue was whether the accident was an intentional act. There were no eyewitnesses to the incident apart from Mackenzie, Dom, and Davion. Thus, the determination as to Mackenzie's guilt or innocence hinged entirely on whose theory the trier of fact deemed more credible. Well, yes. Unfortunately, Dom and Davion aren't here to tell us. Sometimes these people piss me off. Defense counsel posited that Mackenzie had a seizure or otherwise lost consciousness while she was driving the car, which would explain the high rate of speed, failure to depress the brake, and/or ultimate collision. This theory was consistent with Mackenzie's pre-existing medical condition. Rather than presenting any evidence or testimony to substantiate this theory, defense counsel merely relied on cross-examination of the state's witnesses, none of whom had specialized knowledge or experience with POTS. What's more, counsel failed to introduce the medical records confirming that Shirilla had been diagnosed with POTS and suffered prior episodes of seizures and/or passing out several years before the accident occurred. Wait. Several years? Fair. She has a condition. Was she having episodes like a day prior to the accident? That would matter. Several years? I don't know. Evidence establishing Mackenzie's prior diagnosis and episodes would have immeasurable value to supporting the defense theory of the case. As this court recognized during the sentencing hearing, defense's counsel theory was not supported by medical testimony or records, but instead was predicated on uncorroborated statements from Mackenzie's mother. Thus, it is clear that the trial counsel's deficient performance prejudiced Mackenzie such that she is entitled to relief. As aforementioned, the state's entire theory of the case is that Mackenzie purposely crashed the car due to her tumultuous relationship with Dominic. To support its theory, the state introduced evidence relating to a previous argument between Mackenzie and Dom that occurred on, Interstate 71. The state presented the testimony to paint Mackenzie as an unstable individual who was willing to crash her vehicle in a fit of rage. If Mackenzie was at fault for instigating an argument and threatening to crash the car a few weeks before, then she certainly was capable of doing so on the morning of the accident. In fact, the July 17th incident was the only evidence that the state presented suggesting that Mackenzie harbored any ill will or animosity towards Dom. Interesting. Okay, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that was a sign, like that was a red flag, that it does show premeditation and intent or whatever, intention, ill will towards Dom, or was it just a toxic as hell relationship, and she was crazy? I would really like to see proof of, like, and I hope we see it in the text messages that I have, that if Dom was violent, like I want to see that in the text message for me to make like a full opinion of what I think here, but we have yet to see anything like that. And in the video when he's recording her, like when she's going to key his car and stuff, like, maybe it's because he's recording himself, but he's not acting crazy. He's not the one showing up to her house and saying he's going to, she's like, if you don't fucking open the door, we're going to have a real problem. Like, that's evil. I think it's all bullshit, says Laura. Yeah, I think this is bullshit too. I'm sorry, but like, oh, I was going to look up that condition before I continue. How serious is? Oh, it says it's a serious condition that significantly impacts quality of life, though it's generally not life-threatening. While some individuals experience only mild symptoms, others face debilitating effects that interfere with daily activities like work, school, and social life. Complication like falls due to fainting and difficulties with concentration can also arise. Again, I full-heartedly empathize with her on this, but like, again, like Augie said, if you have this condition, but you're smoking all the blunts, I mean, how do you want us to believe you, girl? Girl, you're worried about a seizure, but you're smoking all the green. This is the kind of girl that was going crazy on him and punching him and all that kind of, I know, Laura. That's why I'm like, yeah, the July 17th incident proves, I don't think it proves that she was like going to do this, but it proves that she's very unstable. Just feeling dizzy in different stages. Parents teach right from wrong. Every action has a reaction. I love that. Very true. So true. Trial counsel failed to introduce text messages concerning the July 17th incident that is definitely establishes Dom was the person responsible for grabbing the steering wheel and attempting to crash the vehicle. This evidence would have been invaluable to the defense's theory of the case, particularly in light of the state's contention that the incident was compelling proof of Mackenzie's purpose and intent the morning of the accident. Apart from the July 17th, 2022 incident, there was simply no evidence to support the conclusion that Mackenzie acted with the requisite purpose at the time of the accident. While the state argued that the high rate of speed and failure to apply the brake prior to impact demonstrate Mackenzie's purposeful intent, precedent case law clearly establishes that such evidence at most establishes that an individual acted recklessly. Proof of excessive speed alone is insufficient to constitute criminal recklessness. Proof of excessive speed alone is insufficient. That must not be right, because I think speed is a form of criminal reckless. Well, maybe not criminal, maybe like DMV recklessness. Girl, you should not be driving, is what I think. Proof of excessive speed in the operation of an automobile is not self-sufficient to constitute wantoness, which is substantially similar to the definition of recklessness. Instead, courts have universally required proof of other circumstances relating to the time and place of the collision, which, when considered with speed, evidence the perverse disregard of a known risk with Hedel's indifference to the consequences. Oh, so they're saying like her speeding doesn't necessarily prove that she's a schmurder, a cold-hearted schmurder. No, it doesn't. I guess, but she drove the car into the building. That defines schmurder to me. Ugh. The text messages herein at issue directly contradict the state's claim that Mackenzie threatened or attempted to crash her vehicle on July 17th, which served as the state's primary, if not sole evidence to support the conclusion that she acted with the requisite at the time of the accident. Given its significance, there is no reasonable basis for trial counsel's failure to introduce the text messages during the trial of this case. And in light of the absence of any other evidence suggesting that a purposeful intent, there is reasonable probability that the outcome of this case would have been different if the text messages had been properly introduced. Allison. As discussed, both the prosecutor and the court noted that there was no reason that Mackenzie would have been driving on Progressive Drive that morning, thereby insinuating that she must have done so with the purpose and the intent to crash the vehicle. Gerlou's, Allison's affidavit related text messages established that Mackenzie had placed a grocery order on the evening of July 30th, which Shirilla was planning to pick up at some point after the market closed. Moreover, Allison confirms that Mackenzie's vehicle was driving towards the market at the time of the crash and that she routinely uses Progress Drive as a shortcut when commuting to the market. The foregoing testimony and evidence would have provided a reasonable explanation for why Mackenzie was driving that particular route on the morning of the accident. At the very least, it would have directly contradicted the state's contention that Mackenzie specifically chose that street as part of her purposeful and intentional plan to kill Dom and Davion by crashing into a building. Regardless, there's a reasonable probability that the outcome of this case would have been different if trial counsel had presented testimony and evidence from Allison concerning her interactions with Shirilla on July 30th. Conclusion. Both the United States and Ohio constitutions ensure that every criminal defendant receives competent and effective representation. Here, Mackenzie meets both prongs of Strickland. A reasonable attorney would have conducted an independent investigation to support Mackenzie's defense, including presenting evidence to support the defense's theory that the accident was a result of a medical condition, and 2, introducing testimony and evidence to contradict the claim that Mackenzie threatened to crash her vehicle on July 17th, and 3, eliciting testimony and introducing evidence concerning Allison's interactions with Mackenzie on July 30th. Hey, Mary Beth, good to see you. She's doing hella rugs. I know, Abuelita's journey. I know. She's like, oh, I'm so concerned I'm going to get a seizure. And I'm like, girl, how are you not having a seizure from all the mushroomies? She be tripping like every weekend. I'm like, that's a lot of partying. On another note, got my line on that makes my ceiling her room looks like Melly's background. Yeah, Laura, I'm putting up my new ones tonight, so hopefully you like them. Good to see you, Mary Beth. Moreover, it is clear that counsel done so is reasonable probability that Mackenzie would have not been convicted. Wait. So the defense is saying that if they introduced her medical records, which I find it hard to believe that they didn't submit something, and because we watched some of that, but then 2, also the full-blown text thread between Dom, they're saying that she would have not been convicted. Is this person on shrooms? Like, I'm wondering who wrote this, because I'm like, dude, what do you mean the video was there for everyone to see? We saw the brick building earlier. Moreover, it is clear that counsel had done so. There's probability she would not have been convicted. Again, the verdict in this case is not well supported by the record, and there's reasonable probability that the result of Mackenzie's trial would have been different had trial counsel conducted an adequate investigation, including presenting testimony and evidence regarding Mackenzie's pre-existing medical condition as well as introducing text messages and testimony heretofore discussed. What I want to know is, I have all the documents, and I don't see one where they once tried to get a new defense because they were being inadequate. So unless I see those, I'm like, why didn't you bring this up before? You're bringing it up after. They're just trying to make it stick, right? She's dizzy enough with POTS. Why you need all the rugs? I know. Even presuming that the chair of fact, according to law, is reasonably probable that the result of this case would have been different if the defense's theory had been corroborated by independent evidence. When a defendant challenges a conviction, the question is to whether there is reasonable probability that, absent the errors, the fact finder would have a reasonable doubt respecting guilt. At the very least, it is clear that said testimony and evidence could have instilled reasonable doubt in the proceedings. The mere fact that the state bears a burden of proof does not absolve defense counsel of its responsibilities to provide effective assistance to the defendant, including thoroughly investigating potential defenses and presenting testimony and evidence in support thereof. Trial counsel's failure to adequately instigate, prepare, and present a defense was objectively unreasonable and served to prejudice Mackenzie's constitutional right to due process of law and a fair trial, and there is a reasonable probability that the outcome would have been different absent counsel's deficient representation. Based upon the foregoing facts and arguments, counsel submits that Mackenzie has sufficiently established that she received ineffective counsel, resulting in significant prejudice. As such, she respectfully requests that this honorable court vacate and or set aside her convictions forthwith. Oh, this is interesting. I just looked up, can rugs make POTS worse? And it says yes. Thank you, Laura. That's why she's on social media while driving. Dude. That's wild. She was driving with like the blunt and the bong and stuff. That was sarcastic, by the way. I know. Okay, this is like her statement. Mackenzie being first duly sworn and deposed and according whatever. I am the defendant in the above referenced case. With the assistance of my family, I retained attorney James McDonald to represent me. Throughout the course of representation, I had very limited communication with attorney McDonald. During all of my interactions with attorney McDonald, however, I vehemently denied the allegations and maintained that I did not harbor any ill will towards Dominic Russo or Davion Flanagan, nor would I have intentionally or purposely crashed my vehicle on the night of the incident. As such, I consistently expressed my intention to defend these allegations at trial. In the limited communications that we had, I informed attorney McDonald that I had been diagnosed with POTS in and around 2017. My family also provided the attorney copies of medical records confirming the same. Attorney McDonald stated his intention to introduce these medical records at trial. I have reviewed the medical records attached to the motion to vacate, and I can confirm that these are true and accurate copies of the records that I obtained from Cleveland Clinic and provided to attorney McDonald prior to trial. Attorney McDonald did not undertake any effort to retain an expert witness to review the medical records or other discovery materials to determine whether the evidence was consistent with our theory that the accident was caused by a medical condition. Likewise, attorney McDonald did not introduce the medical records confirming my POTS diagnosis at the trial of the case. Attorney McDonald and I also discussed a prior incident between myself and Dominic that occurred on July 17th. I advised attorney McDonald that I did not threaten or attempt to crash the vehicle during the course of that argument. To the contrary, I have informed attorney McDonald that Dominic had grabbed the steering wheel while I was driving and attempted to crash the car. Moreover, I told attorney McDonald that there would be text messages on my cell phone corroborating my recollection of the July 17th incident. During the pretrial stage of my case, my family provided attorney McDonald with copies of text messages between myself, Dominic, and Christine Russo regarding the July 17th incident. Attorney McDonald and I reviewed the text messages and discussed their significance to my defense. In line with my prior statements to attorney McDonald, there were several text messages concerning an incident that occurred between myself and Dominic on July 17th, 2022. The messages proved that Dominic admitted to grabbing the steering wheel and attempting to crash the car. What do you guys think about that? Like the fact that Dom did that. Well, do you guys believe it? And then 2, does that prove that maybe Dom could have possibly done that the night of the accident? I'm just playing devil's advocate. There's some text messages that are identified as Exhibits C and D in the motion to vacate or set aside the convictions. I was a party to those conversations, and all messages were sent from and or to my cell phone. Moreover, the names depicted at the top of the text messages are the same as how I saved them in my contacts. Thus, I am personally aware and confident that the messages are true and accurate depictions of conversations I had with Dom and his mother. Attorney McDonald noted that the text messages were significant and expressed his intention to introduce the relevant text messages at the trial of this case. Despite the significance that this evidence would have had on our ability to mount a successful defense, Attorney McDonald failed to undertake any investigation into such matters, including retaining a medical expert or introducing the records confirming my POTS diagnosis at trial. Likewise, Attorney McDonald failed to introduce text messages that contradicted the state's claim that I threatened or attempted to crash my vehicle on July 17th during the course of an argument with Dom. While Dominic and I had disagreements during the course of our relationship, we were very much in love at the time of the accident, and I had no desire, intention, or reason to cause him or anyone else harm. Signed by Mackenzie on the 24th of October, 2024. Oh, so these are the reports of, these are just exhibits. Oh, of the medical records. Too bad I can't read them. I wonder if that was intentional. Oh, right here it states progress notes, POTS. In regards to generalized anxiety disorder and ADHD symptoms. Oh. She had ADHD. I'm going to try to decipher this. I can read some of it, but I was able to read that part. Oh, these are the text messages. So July 17, 12:45 p.m. 12:45 p.m. Can you come get Dom? He just grabbed my steering wheel on the hallway trying to spin out of my car and hurt me. I'm scared to drive because it's raining, so I just need him to get picked up. If he doesn't get out of my car, I'm calling my dad, so please tell him to get out. And then she says, Hench is on his way. Calm down for now, please. To be honest, I can't come down, says Mackenzie, when he just tried to end my life. Then he lied to you about it. Dom's mom, Christine, says, I'm just trying to diffuse for now. I'm not mad at anyone. And then Mackenzie says, I don't think he's capable of that when he keeps telling me to shut up and duct tape my mouth. I do not feel safe. He's also threatening to blackmail me to my mom. He's not getting out. He also blocked me so I can't go pick up any of my belongings at his house. I hope this is a learning experience for him on what not to do to women, because I really don't think he knows how to treat them at all. And then Christine Russo says, stop the fighting and stop lying. When he gets his things, you can get yours. And Mackenzie says, first of all, I am not lying about anything. Maybe you shouldn't take his words so seriously. You don't know how he treats me behind closed doors. It's never okay to try to end somebody's life or put their hands on people. No one should touch anyone. Christine says, no one should touch anyone. No fighting for sure in the car. He never put his hands on you. And then Mackenzie says, you need to tell him that. And he tried to end my life today and told me, do you want to die? I almost hit the wall and I could have died. Christine says, and you haven't blackmailed him with the cops 100 times? Mackenzie says, LOL, clearly you don't care about the situation. I should have known you would have taken his side. He could literally kill me and you would still believe him over me. Both of my purses need to be outside within 10 minutes because I'm coming to get them. My dad is coming to get my purses right now. Christine says, I'm not arguing. And Mackenzie says, as long as you're defending his actions, he's never gonna learn that this is wrong. And then this is from Dom. At 4:27 p.m., he says, I'm sorry. And Mackenzie says, That is not enough to fix this time. And Dom says, well, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say sorry. That's it. The next day, he says. And Mackenzie says, oh, so you wanted to say sorry, but you didn't want to fix any of the massive problem you created? Cool. And Dom says, yeah, it's not like anything's broken. There's no fixing. And Mackenzie says, if that's how you feel, then we done. How can I believe that you're never going to do that again? I can't, because I don't know your limit. Somebody who loves me would never do that. Never. I couldn't even do it if you told me to, but I guess that's different for you. And Dom says, yeah, I wasn't trying to do anything. I wasn't trying to kill myself first. I would die first. Like, if you don't believe me, then yeah, just break up with me. If you can't believe me, there's no point anyway. And then Mackenzie says, I mean, the fact that you're not saying anything to make me believe you shows you would do it again. And so you're saying to kill yourself, you would end me too. Why can you not fix problems for the fucking death of you? Like, it's almost like you have fun doing it. Whoa, okay, so they're literally having a conversation a week or two prior to the accident. And literally what they were speaking about in these texts happened. Like, if this is true, like, and they were talking about both killing themselves in the car, and then it actually did happen, is wild. It's wild. And then Dom says, no, I was saying if it was trying to kill anyone in that situation, I died too, and probably first. You know, like in spirituality, you like foresee, you like can tell when your death is going to happen. Like, I wonder if he felt that on July 17th. Because this is literally July 17th, and the accident happened on the 1st, I believe. And then Mackenzie says, so you would kill yourself first, so I die second. Why are you ignoring everything else I say? And that's the end of those. Hey, Patty. He foresees his future. I hope the judge reads this back to her. Parents not parenting again. Does it say she has general anxiety? Yeah, it does, Patty. I mean, Augie. And hey, Patty, what's up? This is the affidavit from Allison. I testified during the defense's case in chief above reference case. I am the owner of Superfoods Market. Those texts are wild. Which produced, okay, we know she owns a market where the potatoes were being picked up. Some customers place grocery orders they intend to pick up at a later date or time. If the customer is unable to get to the market during normal business hours, the order is placed in one of the lockers outside of the building. The lockers are checked daily to ensure that all the orders are picked up. I have gotten to know Mackenzie and Dom on a personal level over the past year before the accident, as they were regular customers at Allison's Superfood Market. I would engage in conversations with Mackenzie and Dom when they came to the market to shop. I also communicated with Mackenzie through text messaging. I recall seeing Mackenzie and Dom at the market on the evening of July 30th. There was another individual in their company who I did not recognize. We had a brief conversation before I left the market. I did not observe anything out of the ordinary or concerning about their interactions. Rather, they appeared to be in good spirits and enjoying each other's company. Later that evening, I received a text message from Mackenzie indicating that she and Dom had forgotten to purchase potatoes when they were in the market earlier that day. Mackenzie asked if someone could put a bag of potatoes in the locker for her to pick up after hours. I told Mackenzie that would be fine and directed one of my employees to place the potatoes in the locker. When I arrived at the market on July 31st, I checked the lockers and noticed that Mackenzie's order had not been picked up. Given my relationship with Mackenzie and Dom, as well as my interactions with them shortly before the accident, Attorney McDonald asked if I would be willing to testify at Mackenzie's trial. I briefly spoke with Attorney McDonald prior to testifying. During that conversation, I advised Attorney McDonald of the facts set forth in this affidavit, including seeing Mackenzie and Dominic on July 29, 2022, as well as the subsequent text messages regarding the potatoes. At trial, Attorney McDonald did not ask me about my interactions with Mackenzie and Dom on July 29th. Had those specific questions been asked, I would have testified consistent with the statements contained in this affidavit. I live in Strongsville, Ohio. Okay, in my experience, Progress Drive is frequently used as a cut-through street, particularly by other residents of Strongsville. I drove through the intersection where the accident occurred on my way to work and on my way home every day for 7 years to avoid the traffic in town. I am aware of the testimony and evidence concerning the crash that formed the basis of Mackenzie's criminal charges, including the route that her vehicle was traveling and the location where the accident occurred. At the time of the accident, her vehicle was traveling in the direction of the market. Hey, Tahira. And I provided Mackenzie's appellate attorney, ᗷEITG, with a copy of the text message that I sent to and or received from Mackenzie on the evening of July 30th. I was a party to those conversations, and all messages were sent from and or into my cell phone. Thus, I am personally aware and confident that the messages are true and accurate depictions of conversations I had with Mackenzie on July 30th. Okay, so these are the texts. This is the last page. So to Mackenzie, I was driving a second ago and I seen a huge group of people at Allison's and somebody walking along the side. I don't know if they were supposed to be here, but I think it was a ton of kids, I think. And then, thanks for letting me know. Oh, that was what Mackenzie said. And then Allison said, thanks for letting me know. And then Mackenzie says, would you be able to set out some red skin potatoes for me and Dom and we can get them as soon as we can? 9 if you can. And then Allison says, yes, locker 1. And then Mackenzie says, thank you. How much? And she says, you're welcome. $4. What was the urgency for the potatoes? I'm curious. Okay, so that was the end of that. I know, Patty. It's like a new thing with YouTube, I think. I don't like it. Okay, so that was a petition to post-conviction relief. I still have the appeal that I want to read, but we're going to read that tomorrow when I know there's new calls that just came out. So I'll be back after this live. I think I'm going to schedule another one right after this because I want to cover the new jail calls that were just released. So we might do a little live again after this, playing those calls. Everyone is their channel name, not the handle. I know. Please, yes, double tap the like button. Really fix it. I tried. I thought it was like a creator setting. Like, it's not. It won't let me fix it. I think it's for verified channels, like really big channels, I think. It's normal for them. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, actually. But I tried to fix it. I did. I hate it. But I was, in earliers, I was in jumpsuits. And I'm mod over there, and it was normal. So I'm like, I don't know. Mine is the same. I know it is. I know it is. Okay. Mackenzie Shirilla case, wild. Please, 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 if you're not familiar with the case, replay my playlist. I have the body cam footage, the interviews. We're doing jail calls. We read lab reports today, and we read the petition. I have 2 phone calls that I was not able to play. So I'm going to try to figure that out before I go live next. But I know the new set of calls just dropped. So I'm going to schedule another live after this. Ooh, I look forward to hearing. Are they recent? Well, they're like, they just came out, but they're not like the recent, because they haven't released the recent ones. They've just released the older ones, I think, but we should be getting new ones, I think, hopefully. I feel like her team's gonna, once they see that the calls are on YouTube, I think they're gonna try to stop them, but I don't know if they can. We'll see. But anyways, make sure you guys hit the like button. I will see you guys shortly. I'm going to schedule another live for the new set of calls. Yeah, I did. That same message was left on, like I said, I have a whole playlist. Oh, my hair's all messed up. Sorry, I was in here acting crazy. I have a playlist, and I always get that comment. It's really weird, abuelitos. But yeah, you guys, okay, so make sure you hit the like button. I will see you on the next live after this, and then we might be doing Melly After Dark, so I will see you guys then. Thank you for being here. Shout out to all my mods. I love and appreciate you guys. I will see you shortly on the next one. Thanks to everyone. Thanks, Laura. Thanks to everyone who was here and shut up. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.